welcome along. It's the Rectavit series from Niel today. Thanks for your company. Jeremy Powers is with me again today. Jeremy, it's a Monday. What's not to love? Cyclocross live.
Cyclocross on a Monday is a beautiful thing. I mean, anytime you have to go to work and you're able to watch cyclocross during work, that's a win. But in Belgium, it's a holiday, so yeah, not going to be doing anything that day there.
Right, before we get into today's action, we had the GP Pelt. That was round one. Let's remind ourselves of how that went down. There you have it, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, the winner of the GP Pelt, ahead of Yara Castelline and Shirin Van Anrooy, the 17-year-old rider that was third in that one. But Jeremy, the Rectavit series, we've got the DVV, we've got the Super Prestige, we have the Etias, but like the Etias, there's no general classification to ride for in this one.
Yeah, no general classification, but these are a collection of races that the riders can assume are at a high level, a professional level. The Niel race is a very historic race, been going on since I was racing. I raced this as a under 23. It was one of the races that I did quite well at back in the day. It's a unique race, but definitely historic. You know, not being part of one of the DVV or the Super Prestige doesn't mean that this race isn't important on the riders' calendars.
Yeah, I mean, last year it was a DVV race, and we do find, don't we, in some of these races, they kind of dip in and out of different series.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about, for this race in particular, I think this was a tough one for the riders, be able to come back all the way from the European Championships yesterday to zip back here and then to be racing at this. It's a tough ask, so maybe that played into them deciding to go with a different series this year.
For those riders that did race yesterday down in Italy, just take us through it as a pro rider, sort of your decision-making process. Do I travel back? Do I fly back? Because most of them you would have thought would fly back last night. So especially for those that had a win or a medal, there's no time to really celebrate.
No, there isn't. And I think that, I think that it's just about, trying to mitigate everything that they can, be as relaxed as they can, and just get back and get a massage on their legs and try to sleep as much as they can. But for sure, with it being a championship race, there's going to be some sore legs in the bunch today.
And this race, like a lot of the Belgian cyclocross, it's kind of based around the town, isn't it? So it kind of, you close down the whole town and you just sort of utilize the sort of parklands that are right off the sort of center part of the town.
That's right, yeah. And they use a lot of like the industrial working stuff that's there. It's the Jaarmarktcross. So it is a unique day. No one's working in Belgium. They all are off and they're coming out to watch the cyclocross.
And this course in particular, we can see there's a lot of umbrellas up. So unlike, we had a bit of mud on this one last year, but, that we're seeing proper sort of cyclocross conditions this year.
Yeah, man, it's a lot of work for the riders. It's a lot of work for the mechanics. It's a lot of work for the staff. It's a lot of clothes that have to be cleaned after every single pre-ride, every single race. So there's no question that these riders are turning, a lot of... They're putting a lot into this season, and I think that it's showing. I mean, the racing has been very compelling. It's been a lot of fun, and I think that proper cyclocross is raced in the mud, so we're happy with that.
Yeah, most cyclocross riders have a big smile on their face. Now, we're kind of still waiting for the final start list. It happens. They kind of like to keep us guessing a lot of the time. We've got the provisional start list, though, for today's race, and the riders that we should be watching out for. One in particular we're really excited to see is Lucinda Brand coming back into racing today.
Yeah, definitely. Lucinda Brand signing for the Trek team is going to be a big deal for them. She's riding for Sven Nyse's team, but on the road, she's riding for the Trek Segafredo women's program. So she's a Trek athlete full and through now, and this is the first time that we're going to see her this year. And it's going to be exciting to see. Always the first race, it takes a little bit for the riders to kind of get going. It's going to take 3-4 weeks or races to get going before they're fully into their cross season. But it's going to be exciting to have her added to the mix.
Yeah, and Katie Compton as well. So for these races, we've seen over the last sort of few weeks, Katie Compton kind of coming into that sort of form. She's a racer though, isn't she? So
Absolutely.
she does like days, you know, she sort of seems to sometimes go better the day after a big race. Do you think she would have been, you know, of course she can't ride the Euros because the Pan Ams, but she didn't want to travel back to the US. Do you think she would have kind of missed that race, getting that, you know, the legs turning yesterday?
Yeah, I don't know. Having just done the podcast with her, which is going to come out on Wednesday. If you guys haven't yet, definitely subscribe to the podcast, the GCN Cyclocross podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe, check it out. But I think when I was talking to her maybe 10 days ago, Marty, it was all about how hard it is to recover from these multiple efforts, one after the other. So she says as she's gotten older, the thing that has been really difficult for her is to recover very quickly. So I do think that she feels it as she's gotten a little bit older, but she is a bike racer and she loves it. And yeah, she did just fine after racing the Koppenberg and then racing Ruddervoort. She was on the podium there. So it's hard to say, you know, maybe things are a little more variable as you get older, but on a course like today where it's so variable, right? There's so many off camber sections. It changes. This is a very unique course, and I think she'll do quite well at it.
Yeah, let's look at some other riders that we want to watch out for today. So we've got the likes of Kim van der Steener, kind of not quite on the form that we saw last year for Tartaletta Isarex. Talita De Jong coming back into racing. She's had lots of health problems over the last few years.
Yes.
And again, the luck just hasn't been there. She's been clipped by riders just coming off the start line. The cards have just not quite gone her way yet.
Yeah, you do have to have a little bit of luck as well as good legs, right? So you can't just have one or the other. You have to have both to have success in cyclocross, and that's part of the game. So yeah, definitely coming back from illness and injury and all of those things. I know she had a tangle up with one of the with a course marker maybe a couple races ago. So definitely hasn't had a clean run at it so far, but it will be great as we see her continue to progress up and in the standings and continue to come back to form. It's that's the ebb and the flow of a bike racer.
Yeah, definitely. We've got the riders warming up. As soon as we get some pictures, we can show the riders perhaps just riding around, warming up, getting having their last little rides around the course before they get to the action. Today, Jolien Verschuren, we saw in our caption there as well, Mount Captains, Ellen Van Looy. And Ellen Van Looy had a phenomenal start in the Europeans, didn't she, yesterday?
Yeah, she's become quite the starter. You know, she's not the youngest rider on the starting grid, but she has made it a point to make sure that she's at the front of the races, staying out of trouble, and then she's been riding to top 5. She's been very consistent. I've said this many times, but she's, you know, always a friendly face at the race, and she's got a good head on her shoulders. She likes to race hard. She lives for the sport for sure. And yeah, it's just it's interesting. As we're getting a picture here of Lucinda Brand, we can see that she's all decked out in a pink Telenet Balawaza Lions kit today. So that's exciting to see her.
Dutch champion.
Yeah, it'll be good. Oh, it is. Yeah, that is the Dutch champion. I'm sorry. Thank you, Marty.
That's fine. So Lucinda Brand, Dutch champion, and for them as well, coming into Telenet, as you said, she's now a full-time Trek athlete, which we expect a rider to stay with their kind of current team until the end of December. So you know, it's great for them, you know, to go into that new team and have the whole season on their new bikes with their new equipment, rather than kind of chopping and changing going sort of December 31st and we see them on one bike, and then January the 1st they go into another bike. And I've said it for years that actually you look at the cyclocross contracts, and that's kind of really how they should run. Let the rider ride for the full season. Yeah,
I think that she took a break after her road season, and then probably decided, you know what, I'm going to just make a clean cut when I start my cross season. It's going to be when I start my cross season, it's going to be all for, you know, moving forward to Trek. It's not going to be, you know, half on my other team and then with this other bike and this other manufacturer. Once you're all in, then you're good to go.
I think Lucinda, we're waiting for Marianne Vos to come back into racing. We've seen Pauline Ferrand-Prévot in the past as well. It's riders like Lucinda that really have sort of led the way, and you kind of you've got to give them the sort of props for showing Mathieu van der Poel the way, haven't you? Saying, look, you know, you can jump in, you can do this, you can ride your mountain bike, you can do cross, you can race the road.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that now a lot of the other disciplines are looking at cyclocross and thinking that might be where I need to do some training this year. You know, the Van der Poel and Van Aert have really kind of stepped it up, along with Tim Merlier, Quinten Hermans, Toon Aerts. They're all racing on the road. You know, back in the day, you just see select riders go over, do maybe a stage race here or there. Like myself, I would race on the road. Some years I'd do a lot, some years I'd do a little less. It depends on how heavy the cross season is. You know, if you do too much racing altogether, there's no question that it can be too much. You know, if you think methodically about which races you're going to choose, how you're going to structure your season, where you're going to get your base miles in, stuff like that allows you to have a good run into the cyclocross season if that's your focus.
Well, we saw Lucinda coming out off the back end of the season. So those sort of road pros, we've just seen Marianne Vos sort of manage to get the lead in the Women's World Tour on the last race of the season in China. What do those riders do that are coming off a big, heavy road program? We see Lucinda Brand and Marianne Vos in, you know, the Giro Rosa and all those big races. How do they kind of taper off after their season into the cross season?
The first thing I think is sleep a lot. I think they sleep a lot. I think that probably during those periods they probably drink a lot of coffee, and I think that they probably are burning some matches during that time. And then I think when they take their break, they have to really reset. They have to really come down and relax, because otherwise, you know, you can't always be spending. You have to be saving as well. And so I think for these riders, it really is about periodization. It's about having good people surrounding them, giving them insights. You know, looking from the outside in, saying, "Hey, Lucinda," or "Hey, you know, Toon," or whoever these riders are, "Hey, I think you're doing a little too much. I think you're burning a couple too many matches and you need to pull back a little bit and we need to reset." So yeah, it's all about good periodization. It's about good coaching. It's about having good people around you. And yeah, these riders are some of the best in the world. So I'm sure that they feel confident in who they're asking for their opinions.
Yeah, so don't forget, get involved over on the chat forums. We'll get our questions fed through as well. We'll do our best to take some of those. Just let us know where you're watching us today. Don't forget, we want you to get involved. If you've been inspired by Jeremy's halftime videos, we want to hear from you. You can get it on board over at gcn.eu/upload. We want your little videos, don't we? We want to see everyone out there. We want to share in their successes.
We want to add them to the show.
Yeah.
We want to be out there. We want to hang with you guys. We want to know what you're up to. So show us, give us a shout, and yeah, check it out. It's always, we like to keep it fun over here. We like to keep it interactive. We're not just out in the world. No, we're on the internet. This is GCN.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, let us know those. We'll put a little epic montage together and we'll get that up and towards Christmas in our coverage. Now, let's have a look at the course for today's racing. Jeremy, as you said, this is a race that you have done. Let's just go through the course.
Yeah, this is a very unique track in that it has a lot of industrial elements to it. They use old tires to mark the course in certain areas. So that's how they, instead of using barricades, they'll use tires. They'll use like wooden planks to be able to kind of keep riders in there. They make their own sand pit. So they literally just put like 2 feet of sand on top of concrete. It is one of the wildest sand pits that I've ever ridden my bike in. It's in a downtown, so there is like a cobbled section on the street as I remember it. And there's a ton of off camber, and it's super muddy. This race traditionally gets very, very muddy and slippery with all the long like little sections that flying down, flying up. The riders get very challenged by this track.
Yeah, we'll go full screen on the start line. There's Lucinda Brand. You can see there on the Telenet colours now, the Dutch national champion. She's been riding round. We just saw her just before the start. We had the feed coming in. Now we're teammate with Ellen Van Looy. Do you think that, you know, Lucinda's such an experienced cross rider. This is a nice, interesting combo we've got here.
Yeah, I think it's a cold day. I can see that on Lucinda. She's using a pair of neoprene gloves. They're looked like they were pretty thick. Definitely saw her and Ellen Van Looy warming up together. So I think that they were sharing, you know, maybe like, how are your tires feeling? What are you running for pressure? It's just nice to be able to kind of talk with your teammates.
So Marion Norbert Rieberlober and then Alicia Frank, Katie Compton alongside her. Marion Norbert Rieberlober, bronze medalist in the under-23 race yesterday. There's Kim van der Steener from Tartaletto Isarex. And then Hirte Hooker, the rider there, who has had a great start to the season so far. She's one rider that's not on our provisional start list as well. That we are almost ready to go. So the Expersa Footlogix riders have got a good start position here, right on that front row. And we are off and racing. And Van der Steener getting a good start in the yellow. Ellen Van Looy does the same. It's Van der Steener, though, that gets that whole shot through the first corner. Talita De Jong, we just saw moving up towards the front. De Jong, as you said, she hasn't had the best luck off the start line in a lot of races. And you can see her. She is third in line there. Just in that black jersey with the World Champs bands on the jersey, former world champion. And you took the, as we said, the city streets that you have here in the Niel course.
Yeah, you can see it's a, again, they're riding through the city, and now they're going to come into this first section here, Marty. And we haven't had a good look at everything, but we do know that there's a lot of cold rain out there today, and the riders are, whoa, got a little sideways there, whoa, coming in hot. And as this kind of funnels down, and got a little bit of a bottleneck there right at the start. Should be interesting for the men's race to see what it is there. So
Van der Steener, Lucinda Brand, De Jong, Norbert Riberola. So Van der Steener there. This is it's a very traditional sort of Belgian cross, this one. That's Talita De Jong there. You can see the black jersey, those world champs, rainbow bands. As the riders just switch from side to side. Meg de Bruyne is well up there as well, wearing number 14.
Yeah, great opportunity today for De Jong to show herself. Not the stacked field, because a lot of the European Championship riders not making the trip back and starting today decided to not take the start here. But De Jong in second place, right behind Lucinda Brand. Brand making sure that she stamps this out and lets everybody know that she's back on the scene.
So Brand getting a great start. So we would expect no less from Lucinda Brand in this one. And already just starting to stretch a bit of a gap here. Now we get into the off-camber section, and this always poses problems for riders, doesn't it?
Yes, this is one of those ones where you're going to be on and off the bike. Proper cyclocross, very steep here. See a lot of riders over the years sliding out, and when you miss a foothold in this one, you go all the way to the bottom because they're so steep, Marty.
I remember Ellen Van Looy taking a tumble on the off-camber sections on this one in previous years. And the riders again just dragging the bike up through this section.
Yeah, it's very unique course. Definitely one that the fans love coming out to every year. This is a big one. Although it's very cold, and this is some of the stuff I'm talking about. The sandbags that are on the side of the course, and you can see the rain pelting the ground there as Van Looy continues to drill the pace to keep this opening lap very fast for the riders.
So Alicia Frank, so there's Marion Norbert Riberola in the pink and white of Expersa, Kim Van der Steener in the yellow. You can see through this section onto this big deep sand, as you called it yesterday, through the Home Depot we got here, which is kind of it's a British fans would be B&Q or Home Base or something like that. But they,
I wonder how much Lucinda Brand's been training on her cross bike, because she looks like the skills are on point. Doesn't look like she's missed a beat here. She's ridden the sand quite well. When she lost her momentum, she hopped right off, threw that bike up on her shoulder, and started trooping along. So yeah, as we go through that man-made sand pit, that is so unique. But yeah, you see Lucinda Brand opening up a big gap. Really wants to make sure that the world knows that she's back.
She's the sort of rider, though, that coming in at this point of the season, because we're getting to a point of the season almost where there's going to be a few riders that are going to be getting tired. It's showing great skill. This is one section, again, where you kind of want the studs on the back of the shoes as well. Ellen Van Looy doing the Toon Arts one-footed descent there. Nice.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of interesting technique here. That has got to be one that's it's more dangerous to ride down. Although for me, in my experience, looking at this, it's so slippery and it's so off camber. It looks like this is just a treacherous part of the course where the riders have decided it's safer to actually run down this. I remember running down something at the World Cup in Roubaix, Roubaix, France. When I was running down it, the mud was so thick, Marty, that it actually sucked my shoe off of my foot, and I had to go find my shoe in the mud. And you can imagine the heckles that I was getting.
I can imagine. I can only imagine. There's your head of the race. Now in the colours of Telenet Valois Lions, so a great signing for them. Will race on the road for the Trek Segafredo team. Marion Norbert Riberola and Alicia Frank. So Norbert Riberola, again, coming back from Italy yesterday, bronze medal in the under-23 champs. That will be an enormous boost in confidence for the French rider.
Yeah, definitely. I, thinking more a little bit about Lucinda Brand is just the connection between Trek and Trek Factory or Trek Segafredo. Fredo, and then Sven Nies's team. It's nice to be able to have that partnership as they tatter here in the top 3 with Ellen Van Looy sitting in 3rd place.
Van der Steener and Compton locked in. There's Alicia Frank. Talita De Jong is the next rider. So De Jong, good to see her getting herself back up there, the former world champion. So Norbert Riberola, a rider, so the young French rider who sat there, so wearing number 33 is Marion Norbert Riberola. Just 20 years old. Bronze medalist in this year's national championships is Riberola, but that medal yesterday really has given her a huge boost. This Expersa team that's mentored by Helen Wyman, and I think Helen Wyman is making such a huge difference to these riders. She was super proud yesterday. Anna Kay taking the medal, and Marion Norbert Riberola. Ellen Van Looy looking good on this opening lap. Ellen, although she's had those great starts, she's kind of faded a little bit as the races have gone on.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it today though so far, Marty, and it's a good opportunity, like I said, for Lucinda Brand and Riberola to be able to kind of capitalize on the fact that they have good legs and that the field's a little thinner than it usually is with Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, Anna Marie Wurst, Yara Castelline not taking the start today. Big opportunity to get a lot of UCI points and to race in a live televised race with so much history as Niel does.
Indeed. So a few of you asking on the forum, Scott Nelson on there, Jim Claggers and Tim Fire just asking, did Lucinda race yesterday? No, she didn't. And again, that comes down to a selection thing for the national team, because again, you're never sure how a rider, even someone of Lucinda Brand's class, you can see her out here already in this breakaway group. You're not sure how the form's going to be, so you wouldn't automatically put her into a championship race.
No, you wouldn't. No, I think it's also, a little bit too much travel. Remember what we were talking about earlier with just, knowing when to say when and when to push it and when to pull back. I think traveling down to Italy for your first race is a little bit of an overextension. This was she lives in the, I think somewhere Rotterdam, maybe in the Netherlands. So for her to just be able to kind of cruise over to Niel, not such a big ask, flying down to Italy, taking all of her team, her equipment and everything like that for the first time, asking family to come out and help, that's going to be a bigger ask. So nice place to get started, a proper muddy cyclocross race, a couple hours from the house. That's a much more, easy ask.
So Verhey Stratton going through in that next group. So it's Van der Steener again, just pushing it on this these city streets. Again, when you're going for a lot of city like this, does it, again, how do you get into tyre selection, tyre pressure, or are you kind of riding for more, again, the conditions that you're getting out here? Does it pose problems?
I mean, all of the riders have to use the same equipment today because of the mud, so there's no question whether they have a different brand sponsor, maybe they're running Challenge or Vittoria or Dugast or FMB, you don't know, you don't know who they're using, but generally speaking, they're riding a tire that has very tall lugs, so when they are on the pavement, the lugs are going to bend a lot, and that's by design. The lugs have to move to be able to eradicate the mud that is trapped in the tread. So it's actually good that they're in a nice muddy race like this, and then they hit those road sections because it actually clears out all of the gunk that's stuck in the tire, and that's how it's designed. So yeah, overall, all of the riders are going to be dealing with the same set of rules that they have to run by with the tires, but overall it's they're going to be running low pressure. They're going to have to take the corners nice and wide and long, be a little bit gentle as they come off the pavement into these into the more grassy parts of the course.
Jolien Verschuren here, you can see just riding back through the group is the Valshausen Bingo rider, back to Van Looy. So your order through there, 7 minutes 17 seconds was your lap. Here are your two leaders, Lucinda Brand, Marion Norbert Riberola for Expersa. Then you've got Van Looy, then Compton, Van der Steener, Frank De Jong, and then that next group back to Karen Verhey Stratton is next. But Compton just trying to find her way back to Ellen Van Looy here. This is a day for KT Compton.
This is a day for Katie Compton, I have to say. This is a very good start for her. She's been able to warm up at her pace, and now she's starting to claw her way through. We're only a quarter of the way through this, so yeah, it will be interesting to see how Lucinda Brand and Rivarola continue to accelerate forward, and if Katie Compton's able to seize this opportunity. As you can see there, Lucinda Brand looking to kind of continue to capitalize, probably can smell or sense that the chase behind is getting closer.
Katie Compton just gradually dragging this group back here, so these conditions suit the American. Van Looy, you can see digging in, trying to stay with Compton here, going back through the DIY center into the deep sand. Brand and Norbert Rivarola both dismounting through here. Can Compton stay on? Look at Katie Compton digging in. So, again, as you said, it's about 6 feet deep.
This is a tough one. It'll be interesting to see if the men's race is able to ride this section. It just looks like it's not passable. The riders are making it about maybe not even halfway through it, and they're having to get off. I remember this sand pit. As you can see, as they come in, it's almost up to their kneecaps. It's so high. They have really artificially created a heck of a sand pit there. My son would love it.
Yeah, I was going to say everyone will be out afterwards making some sandcastles.
Yeah.
There's Talita De Jong, you can see there. So Talita, the former world champion, had the best start that we've seen. Look at this again, these conditions. Norbert Rivarola, a bit of a risk there shouldering the bike, would you say?
Yeah, hard to say. I mean, it's all in personal preference. It's all what they're comfortable with. Katie Compton choosing to use a little bit of the fencing before, for the steepest part, and then kind of cutting across, using the lower part of the hill and kind of using the footholds that are there. It is man, this is treacherous though. This downhill section, this is the thing that makes Belgian European cyclocross, across the board epic, because they do get that soil that holds all of this water in it, whereas like somewhere like yesterday in Italy, Marty, where it drains much more easily, you don't see this as common. We don't see a lot of these types of conditions in North America either. So this is what it is. This is what makes cyclocross so special over there, and this is really what the sport has been built on. These types of conditions are what make the sport so unique and so hard.
Yeah, and you can see the way that just watch the feet of the riders here. You could saw when Katie Compton was stomping up there, you could just see that the ground on that was just giving way, just very at each time the riders just stomped, trying to find that foothold again. And we saw it yesterday in Silvelli, but you can see as the races go on, when you're doing those run-ups, that especially the mud, the conditions just suck the power out of the legs. We saw yesterday riders' legs just kind of going from under them in some cases.
Yeah, the attack through the pit zone is Rivarola deciding, nope, I'm not taking a bike. Maybe Brand needed something. Pulling off those gloves that we saw her put on. They looked quite thick. She must have warmed up to the point where she's feeling like, you know what, this is too much. I don't have enough control over the bike, or I'm actually overheating. So she's making some changes to make sure that she's feeling 100% comfortable on the machine, and she's out there ready to go and has full control of her bike. So as Katie Compton closes in on Brand, Rivarola decided to take a shot at the lead in the front of the race.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? Full-fingered gloves. You see, Lucy, you think, I want to keep my hands warm, but it's that sensitivity on the bike. I don't like gloves. I ride, if I ever ride anything, they're really, really thin. But again, it's how sometimes it's how the bike feels, isn't it? Because you're on and off the bike all the time. If you put your hand down in the mud, the gloves are going to kind of take on a lot of mud and a lot of moisture as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is for me, it was always about keeping my core very warm. So I want to keep my core warm, and then my core is warm, then it goes down my arms and it gets into my hands, and then my hands are warm. Once my hands are warmed up, but if I started something cold with my hands cold and then my core wasn't really warm, that's not a good look. So you want to always be able to regulate as a rider. She's still got her jersey zipped up. I think it has more to do with the fact that there was maybe mud on the gloves. She was feeling like, there wasn't the dexterity, the ability to handle the bike wasn't there. And again, yeah, not riding with gloves in conditions like these. I don't know the exact temperature, although we're going to look that up for you guys. But either way, it's a day of it for sure. And I think that you can see there's all different types of choices out there. Katie Compton's running long fingers. Ribarola, no gloves. Now Lucinda Brand, no gloves. And it looks like Ellen Van Looy using just traditional summer gloves with the fingers cut off.
Do you want the weather report?
Yes, I would like that, Mark.
Yeah, today's weather. It's 46 degrees Fahrenheit, dropping to 41 as the afternoon goes on. 8 degrees Celsius, dropping to 5 and rainy, as you can see.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm in the wrong career.
All right, so it is it's nice, actually. It's not bad at all. As we see the podium coming through Ribarola, Lucinda Brand, and now Katie Compton looking to tack on here as we see them about 15 minutes into this one.
So there we have it, little gap back to Van Looy. I think I'd say Katie Compton's going to get on. They're saying that they've saying 4 laps to go on the back of that one.
Yep.
Might be, you can never tell sometimes with the numbers of, unless he turns it around.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we don't totally know, but we do know that we're 15 minutes in, and Katie Compton is about to tack onto this front part of this race. I expect after this road section, they're going to slow down, and that's going to allow that rubber band effect, and Katie Compton's going to do. As you see the riders having to hop these curbs, part of cyclocross, part of the culture as they come into this more wooded section with the leaves. It's a little less muddy right through here, but as they get to those off-camber slopes, it starts to really make it a very unique proposition for these riders.
The Hay Stratton going through. Thanks all of you for getting on board. Carl Van Horbeek from Texas. Gurav Kumar Mishra, great. Thanks for checking in from India. Martin McTavie from the Cyclocross Northeast Massive. Big up to the northeast of England. A really successful cross league up there. Anna Kay, of course. Thomas Main coming out of that one. Got to give my contractual shout out to Susanna Viles checking in from Brisbane in Australia. I get into trouble if I don't say hi to Susanna in that one. Joseph Dabbs saying hi from Alabama.
Hey, what's up, Alabama? We got Tucson, Arizona on the check-in. We got Brisbane, Australia. We got just Denmark.
Anders Toft from Denmark. Thanks all of you for saying hi.
Man.
Little look down your group. So you Compton latches on Brand, Compton, Norbert Ribarola, Van Looy, and Van der Steener and Frank are your next group on the course here.
Got a chance to hang out with Katie Compton, as I said before, to do the podcast with her, which will be coming out on Wednesday, so look for that if you guys haven't yet. We also had a chance to go through and do a pro bike with her and her husband, Mark Legg Compton, who is pretty cool, man. He was able to walk us through the bike. The amount of attention to detail that he puts into that machine and the team that they have created to be able to go to the races together. And over the years, I mean, we're talking about a rider, Marty, that has 15 consecutive national championships. Let me just say that one more time. Katie Compton won 15 national titles in a row. No one else since 2004 has held the national champions jersey from the United States in the elite women's category, except Katie Compton.
It's absolutely phenomenal. I think whenever you see her race the nationals and she's not in this jersey, it was like, whoa.
Yeah, she's been on the. I was just doing a little bit of the pre-roll for the podcast. 24 World Cup victories in her career. I believe it's 4 times second place at the World Championships, 1 time third.
Do you think she can get it before? You'd love to see it. That's one jersey we'd love to see Katie Compton.
Gosh, I mean that's the one that she's thinking a lot about. You know, she knows she even said she's past her prime, but she's really looking forward to trying and continuing. She was just second at Valkenburg, not this past year, but the year before, and that, as you know, was one of the most insane races I've ever taken part in. It was my last World Championships, and I will remember that one.
Yeah, Len Van Looy through here, Alicia Frank, so winner of a round of the Great Britain series. They had that yesterday as well. Beth Crumpton, teammate of Kim van der Steener, behind there in the yellow. She had her first victory of the season, and Ties Arts got a victory in Crawley yesterday in the British series. So a lot of Belgians going over for that one. Now we're on to the big drop here. Katie Compton going for the side, looking for that. Again, it's almost like you've just got to, take your life in your hands on this one.
Yeah, I mean, definitely interesting to see the other techniques. It'll be interesting to see with Lucinda Brandt's experience if she chooses to follow some of Katie Compton's lines, right? She sees now Katie's showing her cards a little bit with Ribarola trying to hang on to the pace and Ellen Van Looy trying to get through this very technical, nasty section. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, really, it's an American versus the Netherlands with Ribarola attacking on there, trying to hang on to the pace as Katie Compton has come through like a freight train, trying to drill the pace to really put Lucinda Brand in trouble here, Marty.
Katie seems, when she does the prolonged European program and doesn't do the transatlantic crossings, it almost seems that she settles in with the air, with her breathing and that
Yeah.
kind of thing, because it's something that poses problems. But almost as Frank just drags herself up there with Van der Steener behind her. But it almost seems with Katie Compton, when she jumps backwards and forwards, that it almost seems that's when she starts to get the problems.
You know, I think that with any athlete, it's you know, are you public about what's going on with you or are you not? And Katie's, you know, she speaks about what's going on with her, even though it's not like blatant. She lets you know, like, hey, this is what's going on with me. I've been having a struggle here, but I've been doing this and this to get better. I think it's cool. I think she really appreciates that people follow her career, and she likes to let them know what's going on with her. I certainly appreciate it. But yeah, she's healthy now, and she's at the front of this race, winning, which is all that matters. Not opting to go back to Canada for the Pan American Championships yesterday. If she's able to be on the podium here, I think that will be a nice that'll be a nice pat on the back for choosing to have that patience and deciding to not try to go over for the Pan American Championships.
Yeah, so these two riders are Lucinda Brand's first race back, the Dutch champion. We're big fans. I'm a big fan of Lucinda Brand. I got to interview her last year. It was one of the best interviews I think I got to do all last winter. She's absolutely phenomenal. First met her when I was down commentating at the EKZ series down in Milan in Switzerland. I was there with Christian Hoyle a few years ago commentating that one. First met Lucinda there, so I've always been a big follower of hers. And again, on the road, I do a lot of the women's commentary on the road as well. She's such a phenomenal rider, and it's great to see her back in the winter. We have this anticipation, don't we, when Lucinda's not there and Mariana's not there and riders like that it's kind of, yeah, it's like Christmas morning when they come back to racing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and that is kind of what the cyclocross season has been about. You know, there's a certain group of riders that choose it to be their primary focus for the season. Then there's certain riders that balance it with other things. As you see, even Vanderpool this year deciding, hey, I've got a lot going on. I need to start my season. Just last weekend in Rutherford, and then his second race was the Euro Champs, going undefeated so far. But yeah, Lucinda Brand deciding to start her season now, this second weekend of November. It's fine. You know, there's a lot of racing left. The biggest races are coming up, as we see Katie Compton just getting some stuff out of her eyes, clearing her nose a little bit. But Lucinda Brand not letting go. She's latched on to Katie Compton, and yeah, as we see Ray Barola just losing a little bit of daylight between the two of them so far.
And again, she's had those European Championships yesterday. She also had the travel back to this one, Marion Norbert Riberola. So great to see a French rider up here. Really,
Absolutely.
you know, we were talking about her yesterday, Lucy Chanel Lefebvre, you know, in the past as well, the French riders. So it's great to see another young French rider coming through.
Absolutely, we saw that under 23 rider yesterday from France take the Continental Championships in the men's under 23. So France definitely putting their mark down. They've been active in cross. It looks like there is maybe three laps to go.
So 4 of 6.
Okay.
So we're on lap 4 of 6
5,
now.
and 6. So they've got 3 to go now. It's this is good. This is a good race. We got a lot going on. We are got Katie Compton at the front. Lucinda Brand is in the Dutch champions jersey. We've got Norbert Riverola in 3rd place. Ellen Van Looy coming through in 4th place. I bet Ellen Van Looy would love to get on the podium today, Marty.
Yeah, she's chasing hard. Van der Steener and Frank here. Kim Van der Steener, former winner of the Koppenberg-Cross for the Tartaletto Isarex team. And then the next rider you can see with Talita De Jong is Susan Verhoeven, who's in the same kit as Hirte Hooker. Here comes Talita De Jong into your picture, and it's behind her Verhoeven, who's in that same kit as Hirte Hooker. If you're with us for races such as Beringen, so that kit's familiar. And again, great battle between two great champions we've got now at the front, Katie Compton and Lucinda Brand. I'd love a sprint finish between these two. It's quite a long finishing straight, isn't it? If they came into the finish together, and again, choices. Pit or no pit?
Yeah, Katie Compton deciding needs a bike about halfway through. I think it probably has to do with that sand, Marty. I think the sand is definitely there. As Lucinda Brand taking no pulls here, just pushing the pace. Katie Compton going to have to close down that gap. So by taking a bike, it is definitely not an advantage today, Marty, because it's slower. And so Lucinda Brand taking the opportunity to lay a little attack down. Katie Compton's doesn't look visually frustrated by that, but definitely part of the deal. Has to take a bike. She knows that Lucinda Brand will have to take a bike at some point as well. So it's kind of what comes around goes around.
Yeah. Good question here at a little WhatsApp. How would Lucinda's position change from her road bike and her road position. Let me go shorter stem, saddle position, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, all personal preference, but typically you see riders go slightly shorter in their cyclocross position just so that they can move their body weight around a little bit more and take a little bit of weight off that front, slide it back, right? You don't want to have that weight necessarily over the front of the hub. You want to have that weight a little further back. So you typically see them go a little lower on their saddle height, and you typically see a little bit shorter stem. Not necessarily, taller or lower on the front end. Just if anything, maybe perhaps just a drop up, maybe 5 millimeters up, just to get a little bit of support and less strain on your back as you go over these undulating conditions that cross throws at you.
There you have it. So get your cross bikes into the sand, can brand, get the power. Again, it just looks at again, they've not been they put it very, very close to that corner as well, because that poses its own problems as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, as you see the riders struggling with it, and then they have to throw their bike up there. You have to ask the question is like, could you save your bike by just running the entire thing? Would you be able to not pit if you just ran the entire thing? But it's all about momentum, Marty, and as we see right here, Lucinda Brand looks to be trying to stretch it out. It looks like she's running away. She's looking back to see what damage she's doing to Katie Compton as she didn't take a bike and she put down an effort through the pit zone. And as we see Ellen Van Looy opting to not throw the bike on her shoulder and run with it through. Lucinda Brand knows this isn't the strongest section, so she's quickly pitter-patter with the feet, boom, 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 clean through there. Katie Compton grabbing that fencing and then running through, closing that gap down, not letting Lucinda Brand get away. She really feels like she has the opportunity to win this race, and she wants to take it.
So we're on lap 4 of 6, so 3 laps to go. Here's your French rider, 20 years old, Marion Norbert Riberola from Experza, so teammate of Anna Kay. So the Experza team, again, she's not been in cross very long, and kind of look back through her career, sort of steady results in France. She had a bronze medal in the Elite Cyclocross Championships this year, but you wouldn't bet against her taking that one at the part of next season. She really is making great strides. Bronze medalist yesterday as well in the under 23 championships behind her teammate Anna Kay and Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. Getting a little replay here going down there. Again, you can just see again how treacherous it is. All the time, Jeremy, you're trying to, as a rider, when you're in that position, trying to pick out those footholds ahead of you.
Absolutely. And the course changes. Everything changes as we see Brand with her mouth open, really trying to stretch it. Katie Compton trying to match her. Still hasn't been able to close down the gap that Lucinda Brand opened up when Katie Compton decided to take a bike. Now, if Brand has to take a bike, unfortunately, she's going to feel that wrath is going to come back to bite her, because Katie Compton is going to absolutely repay that favor if Brand has to grab a pit bike. But it's interesting, Marty. This is Katie Compton rode to 3rd place in Ruddervoorde, 3rd place in Beringen, and now is in the position to win this race here at the Jaarmarktcross in Niel.
Yeah, we just saw Sven Nys in the pits there. Just had the umbrella. He'll be proud after Thibaut taking his European Junior title yesterday.
That's right, Sven Nys' son Thibaut, who we did a game of bike with when we were out at the World Cups earlier this year. If you haven't seen it, we do quite a few tricks and get to know Thibaut a little bit, taking the Junior European Champions title yesterday down in Italy.
It was a good one. There, so Van der Steen again, it's one of those riders just pursuing Ellen Van Looy ahead of her in those yellow colours. Talita De Jong, Alicia Frank right behind her. Alicia is having a better year than she's had for quite a while. The rider behind Kim here. So former, as we said, she's also won the Boom Super Prestige race as well. Oh, problems with the chain for Norbert Riberola. Just got that one caught, trying to get it back on. What a shame.
Man, that's going to open up the opportunity for Ellen Van Looy to take that podium like we were talking about. She's going to be very excited and motivated by that. Although it looks like Riberola's chain still having problems. Yes, still got some chain stuck there. It'll be interesting to see if she's able to get that. Although we've gone to the replay, it still looked like it was hung up. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, Marty. If you don't take that bike and go into the pit lane and take that bike, then your bike starts to break down, because the sand and all that stuff starts to build up and build up and build up. And then you get a problem, and then you you've got a mechanical on the side of the trail like this.
And these are sort of days with how deep that sand is. There's not a huge sections of sand like we get in Coxside and races like that. These are sort of days where your mechanic's going to run it dry to stop that sand getting caught up in the chain.
It's like tar and feather, you know? It's exactly what it's like. It's like the mud is the tar, and then the feather is the sand. It's just all over the bikes, and it accumulates over and over and over, as we see now. Lucinda Brand looking back, checking up on Katie Compton. I would mark it at about 4 seconds. It's not much, but it is something as we see them going in for their 5th lap now with 6 laps total. So they've got about 10-ish minutes to go on this one, Marty. Maybe 12 minutes, I would say.
Yeah, so they're going through Marion Norbert Riberola. That really will fire her up as well. That issue that she had. Sometimes if you get that issue, chasing the podium. She had a podium yesterday. Again, it's just having a little look at what happens. It's just shifting down from looked like the big chain. We just got caught up in the middle.
Yeah, it's tough. So you can see it's stuck, and then she kind of, unfortunately, when you've got it, it goes up and underneath the crankset. Everybody that's ridden a bike long enough has had it happen once or twice. It's not a good look. It's a pain in the butt to get it out of there, and it's all stuck in there, and now she's kind of gotten it around the side, but it'd be interesting to see if she's able to put it together, bring Van Looy back. Van Looy looks like she's stretching her back out after that drive or plane ride coming back from the Euro Champs.
So they're going through there. So 2 laps to go, just over 30 minutes of racing. Then Van der Steen and Frank. We haven't seen anyone else for a while here. So that, again, we've seen over the last sort of races. We saw with Ellie Easterbit and Tom Pidcock in Koppenberg when it came down to that bike change. And I watched them come down. Easterbit didn't pit, Pidcock did, and just as they got together, that was the moment where Pidcock took the bike. So again, as you said, what goes around comes around. So at some point here, Lucinda Brand's going to have to go in and pit as well. Take that bike, might allow Katie Compton to come back. So if you're just tuning in, welcome aboard. It's a great Monday. What else have you got to do on a Monday than watch some live cyclocross lacrosse here on GCN Racing? Martin McDonald and Jeremy Powers with you. We're on the elite women's race. Your leader is Lucinda Brand from Telenet Baloise Lides. Katie Compton chasing in 2nd place. Ellen Van Looy and Marion Norbert Riberola are battling over that 3rd spot on the podium at the moment. This great Niel course, that the traditional one that we have here on the Monday Racing. Can the US national champion find her way back to the leader? Thanks all of you for checking in, as well as Marion Norbert Riberola gets the bike change that she needs onto a fresh bike. Can she get out of the pits and find her way back to Ellen Van Looy here? She's worked really hard for that podium position, and here she comes. Norbert Riberola on a charge back to Ellen Van Looy here. Van Looy looks like she's starting to tire here. Can the young 20-year-old French rider rescue that podium position? At the front, though, it looks like, Jeremy, that Lucinda Brand is just pulling away very slightly.
Yeah, you can see that Katie Compton looks like she's not able to close this down immediately. She's having to kind of stay at her own pace, kind of keep this ship just sailing, not trying to overdo it, not trying to go too fast, not trying to go too slow, just trying to keep a good solid pace, keep the pressure on Lucinda Brand, and Brand is continuing to just ride her race. It's her 1st race back. Katie Compton looking to be in a bit of a position right now, Marty. Just the way that she looks, the look on her face looks like she's trying to, regulate her breathing, trying to stay focused. You can see her body movement, just trying to stay focused on this and try to see if it's possible to take the win today. If Brand will crack, or if she's able to keep up on this pace.
Lucinda Brand, this is the style that we see from the Dutch national champion. So new team for her, new bikes on those Trek bikes. And here's her teammate Ellen Van Looy, locked in a battle of her own with Marion Norbert Riberola for that 3rd spot on the podium onto this downhill section here. Lucinda Brand runs through there, and again you can see it's getting all deep and kind of bermed up at the bottom of that one. Thanks all of you checking in. Danny Jansen's checking in from Jamaica. Thanks for saying hi. Lisa Eggins down in Australia. Wolfgang Riffisch from Aachen in Germany as well. They were wondering, Klaas Nordentel, I hope I've said that right, Klaas, sorry. Wonder if Lucinda get a custom Dutch paint job like Toon Arts. We hope so.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Let's see if we get that one.
At first, when I saw her jersey, the shot was only from the red up, and it looked quite pink. And I thought, oh, that's cool that they did a pink jersey for her. But then I found out, oh my gosh, that's the Dutch national champions jersey. And now the camera panned down just slightly and showed the white. Oh, yeah, wow, okay. So she is the Dutch national champion. I knew that, but I thought maybe she was warming up in a unique kit. Do you remember the year, as we see Ribarola going past Ellen Van Looy, taking back over that third spot? She'll be happy with that because you never want to see a mechanical take a rider out of contention for the podium after they've worked so hard. But Van Looy definitely, maybe such an experienced rider deciding, you know what, I'm going to wait, I'm going to keep my pace, and I'm going to leave a little bit in the tank, knowing that Ribarola probably had to do a big effort to get back to her.
Great racing. So there's your long shot. Lucinda Brand and Katie Compton. So Compton finding her way back towards Lucinda Brand, but Brand making that attack, distancing herself from the US national champion, Kim van der Steener. Van der Steener, phenomenal runner, is the rider there in the yellow. Van Looy, look at the fatigue of Van Looy. Came
Gave
over
the
the top of that one.
There. Gave the camera a look, so don't you be panning at me.
And here's Alicia Frank. You can see she's got a little bit of strapping on the leg there as well. So again, just pulling themselves now up this section. You can see just how deep and fatiguing this is getting as they get to the top of that section where they remount and just start that descent on the other side.
Anytime you hear the bike slamming on the ground, you know that they're fatigued. You know, I think Ellen Van Looy maybe thought, you know, the podium was possible, maybe went a little bit deep, and now being passed by Kim van der Steener, and yeah, is now up in 5th place, it looks like. So still a solid ride, but definitely thoughts of that podium are slipping away for Ellen Van Looy.
Just seeing Ellen Van Looy just shaking out the hands as well. You can see maybe finding it a little bit cold on the hands.
Yeah, perhaps the temperatures dropped a little bit as it was predicted to do. Yeah, as we see Lucinda Brand come into the barriers, got that bike up, getting over those barriers, no problem.
Chased hard by Katie Compton. Looking at the way I think the fatigue is starting to hit. Katie Compton really has to open the burners here.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not that much though, Marty. In cyclocross, 10 seconds, 11 seconds, not that much. Really strong ride by Katie Compton. I mean, so far, it's a... it is definitely, she was locked in horns. They had a battle. You know, Katie Compton took the front. She played her card. Lucinda Brand, you know, just coming in, deciding to match that effort, and then opening it up as Katie Compton took a bike. It created a small gap, which at the moment we didn't know was going to be the race-winning move, but it looks to be where she decided that she was going to lay down something. She hasn't taken a bike, which has been a unique, you know, that's a choice that she's making. You know, she's taking a bit of a risk by not taking a bike, but she feels confident in the equipment, in the new Trek bike, in the SRAM that she's running, all that. She's feeling confident on that new machine, and she doesn't think that she needs a bike.
Mary Norbert Ribarola from Experza, the Footlogics team. We're doing we're hoping to get some more course previews from Experza. She gets the belt this time. Gregoire Jones, just after we give a shout out to his son Atticus, who is off with school with flu and lives for cyclocross. Get well soon, buddy. Kim van der Steener goes through the line. Ellen Van Looy looking to try and just recover if she can. So that's go through the top 6 riders. So van der Steener has found her way up. So it's Brand from Compton, Norbert Ribarola, Frank, van der Steener, and Van Looy.
Here we go, Marty. Here we go. Now, Lucinda Brand has decided to take a bike. Had a little bit of a mistake there. Compton smells blood in the water. Lucinda Brand had to get that bike slower, so she didn't think that she could make it through the whole race without having a problem. Maybe she was hearing the chain start to kind of get a little, you know, a little bit of chain suck, this and that. That's what happens when you get these races with the sand and everything like that. Now Compton's got her very close. She can see that she's taken back that 5 seconds that Brand did. Brand trying to open up the gap again, make sure that she stamps her mark in this race. It's a mental game, Marty. It's back and forth. It's you got me a little bit, now I've got you a little bit. It's now that Compton can see her so close, she's going to start to turn the volume up again.
Katie Compton charges into that run-up. As what Jeremy said, saw previous laps, Lucinda Brand didn't take a bike when Katie Compton did. That helped her into the lead. Now Norbert Ribarola has been chased hard by Kim van der Steener, and van der Steener is a phenomenal runner as well. She has nailed that bank on multiple occasions. Will that be how she finds her way back? Brand cannot let up for a second here, or the American national champion will be right on her. Katie Compton looking for her first victory of the season. Lucinda Brand looking for hers on her first race of this winter's program. Is about to hit the sand section.
Absolutely. Katie Compton looks to be on the limit as she tries to chase her down. You can just see the facial expression. She looks like she's giving it everything that she can. Brand trying to open it back up, riding this sand, boom, off the bike, up onto the shoulder, and Katie Compton coming in, same, boom, off the bike, just pushing the bike this time, deciding not to throw it up on the shoulder. There it is, up onto the shoulder, trying as desperately as she can, but she knows that the technical sections of this track are coming up, and an opportunity to be able to take some time back and capitalize on an error that Lucinda Brand makes is very, very possible on a course like this, Marty. So
Lucinda Brand throws herself over the top of that sand and into that descent and back onto this very damp paved section.
Yeah, you can see the rain just falling down, hitting the ground as we've seen riders ditching their gloves. The temperature can't be so cold. Again, Marty, they're going as hard as they can. As we see coming into this very technical steep descent, she has to be careful here. She's running away with, she's running, looks like she's running away from something, but she's able to navigate it cleanly. Katie Compton, boom, coming down. As we see, grabbing that course, using the speed, using the momentum. Whoa, big step there, getting off. It is a very, very, very technical part of the course, in Brand running like she stole it, just getting away from Katie Compton, trying to make sure that the national champion from the United States does not claw her back.
The Dutch national champion against the US national champion. We have got a race on our hands. Katie Compton, little stumble by Compton. The Trek rider remounts at the top. You can see that Lucinda Brand is absolutely full on here as she tries to hold off the charge from Compton behind. There's Norbert Rieberola. She is still sitting in third. Affords herself a glance to the right just to see where Kim van der Steener is behind her. And this will be a well-deserved podium for her today.
She'll be happy after a trip back from Italy overnight, getting back to this race to be able to put in a good performance. Where she lands on the podium is a risk, but when you're on the podium, Marty, it's not that big of a risk. It makes it worth it.
Yeah, I don't think. Look at that!
Hey.
That is style.
That is style for sure. Very pro. She also, Kim, has her name on her helmet. I don't know if you've seen that, Marty, but not going to be mistaking who that rider is. As you see, Sven Nys giving some instruction to Lucinda Brand, letting her know. Katie Compton's getting instruction from Mark, her mechanic and husband, in the pit, letting her know the gap as Katie Compton continues to try to limit the damage from Lucinda Brand's big attack.
This is the final lap. We are almost there. Lucinda Brand is still holding the lead from Katie Compton. If you're just joining our coverage, welcome aboard. This is the Rectavit cross from Niel, and you can see proper cross conditions, and Lucinda Brand, just through these little hot dog sections, can just afford herself a little glance to Katie Compton, knows where she is. It's again just left and right here, just trying to find some grip.
Yeah, an absolute masterclass in how to ride your bike. If you're watching this, take notes. She's not riding in the lines that have been ridden consistently. She's riding in that green grass. She's looking for the traction. She's dicing this course up, weaving left and right, leaning her body weight, using the course to her advantage, and she's got it nailed today, Marty. She's got the tire pressure right. She's got the fitness. She's come in, and she's made a stamp on this year's first race of the season for her.
You can see everyone's clinging on to the umbrellas here on this one. 27-kilometer-an-hour winds forecast at this point in the afternoon, along with the rain. Onto the planks, Lucinda Brand. She had some instructions from Sven Nys along the side of the course. That will help her as well in her cross riding, having Sven as an advisor.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's, again, advisors, people that tell them what they see. I think it was probably a very calculated return back to the scene. Probably had a lot of time on this equipment, had a lot of time to get the clothing, had a lot of time to get in the camper, get all the sponsors, get up to speed on everything and how the program works and operates. But as a pro rider like Lucinda Brand, she knows the deal. She knows what she's doing. She knows how this thing works. So it's a lot of things are different. A lot of things stay the same.
Absolutely phenomenal performance, and she's not far away now into the home straight. It's going to be not only her first victory of the season, but her first victory of the season in the Telenet Baloise Lions colours. The team of Sven Nys, the Dutch national champion, Lucinda Brand returns with a victory here in Niel. Great performance, and Katie Compton, it is another podium for Katie Compton, the US national champion. Gives a little wave.
She's going to be happy with that, Marty. At podium, she's been already third twice this season, and in Beringen and in Ruddervoorde, and now a second place here in Niel. She's going to be happy with that. Continuing to hit the podium, despite even self-admittedly saying that she's not in the prime, but she's still kicking. She's still kicking it. She's tearing it up.
She certainly is. And this young rider, exciting young French rider, 20 years old, Marion Norbert Riberola of Experza. She was up there with those leaders, had that mechanical problem. Ellen Van Looy came back, and again, she just kept it cool, kept it calm, fought her way back, went in, changed that bike, and here she comes round. This is going to be her second podium in as many days for the French rider. Norbert Riberola, third in the under-23 Euro champs yesterday. I don't think the big win is far away from this rider.
No, I don't either. I think she's had a fantastic day out here today as she clicks her watch to make sure that she gets that effort recorded. It's a pleasure to watch her race, and it's so cool to see someone that's literally half the age of Katie Compton right behind her. So awesome job for everybody out there today. The podium is very well deserved.
Fourth place for Kim van der Stene. Ellen Van Looy comes in fifth place. So Van Looy, and again, another good start today from Ellen Van Looy. Solid riding. She's always there. It's still riding in the top 10. If you can still be in top 10 at this level, it's going to be Alicia Frank, the teammate of Marion Norbert Riberola, that comes in to take sixth.
Yeah, she'll be happy with that. It's a solid ride out there. Again, riding for the Experza team. Going to be happy with that ride today.
And Talita De Jong still there. We haven't seen quite a few riders for a while. Here's Talita De Jong, the former world champion. This will, again, I think this will please Talita De Jong. She's had the luck today. She hasn't had it, as we've said so far, and the smile says it all.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to come back from illness, injury. It is really, really hard, and I give her a lot of credit for going out there. Sometimes you have to suck up your pride. She's a former world champ, but she's able to come out here, use these races as training, and take away, not that she's won, but that she's making consistent progress back up to the top level of the sport.
Suzanne Verhoeven is the next rider to come in here, wearing 38. You see those colours. So Verhoeven rides for Healthmate. So wearing number 38. Shares those colours with Hirte Hooker that we've seen so far this season. We'll see. That is our 8th place rider. It's a rough day out there.
You got a lot of water, a lot of wind. It looks like a proper European cyclocross race.
Pauline Roy-Akers is the next rider. Pauline Roy-Akers. Good to see Roy-Akers up there today for CCC Live. So Roy-Akers, again, solid ride for the rider in the orange. So Pauline Roy-Akers had Roy-Akers had a good year on the road this year. It's Roy-Akers.
She looks like she has a very road position on that cyclocross bike. She looks very low in the front. Looks like she's getting ready for a sprint train lead out on that one.
Karen Verheestraten of Eco Creelan comes in next. Again, that's 10th place for her. I think she'll be satisfied with that. The Eco Creelan rider, again, kind of there and thereabouts at the moment, Karen Verheestraten.
As you see some makeshift stairs for the fans so that they're able to navigate the course appropriately. It's such a steep track, not just for the riders, also for the fans.
Your new white trainers, probably not the best choice of footwear so far today.
Not a great look. Going to have to put those in the washing machine afterwards as we see Lucinda Brand here taking the win. First race for the Telenet Baloise Lions program. And yeah, it's going to be a fantastic season for her. I think she's excited to be back. She's smiling. She even does like a little bit of a ring. Woo, woo.
We like that. And here's Katie Compton. Again, good solid ride from Katie Compton today. Another podium. So good battle that she had there with Lucinda Brand. And again, it must be when you see someone come back into racing, you're not quite sure what to expect of where they are in their sort of their fitness.
Absolutely, yeah. I think for Lucinda Brand, she doesn't know either. It's the same with Matthew Vanderpool. Anyone that's coming in, in the middle of the season, they kind of have to size up their competition and know, like, is it possible? Can I do something? I know what my power meter is saying, but I don't know exactly what I'm able to do against the competition, Marty. And you can only race against the competition that you're faced up against. You don't know who's going to show up on the day.
No, what you got to have to say as well, Marion Norbert Riberola, big respect to her as well. Bronze medal yesterday, and we talk about that travel, especially as a young rider, 20 years old, traveling back, podium yesterday, podium today. That, again, when you can take up the names that we know, Lucinda Brands and your Katie Comptons, we know all about them, but this young rider, just emerging talent from that ex-Spurser team, that's one of the rides of the day for me.
Absolutely, yeah. To be able to come back and kind of go through these conditions and then wake up in the morning with good legs, that's a big ask, having that massage in the evening, making sure that you kind of get out of bed and you feel like you can get out there and do another big effort. Definitely it burns some matches, though. There's no question. That's a big trip and a big race to have to come back to.
It looks like the difference for these Exposer riders, Alicia Frank, Anna Kay, Marion Norbert Riberola, we talk about experience, and you mentor a lot of riders as well. We see Sven Nace there in the pits as well. That addition to that team of Helen Wyman and also her husband Steph as advisors, it really looks like it's making a big difference to that team and these riders.
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to that thing we talked about. It's just having good people surrounding you makes a great program. You have to have that skill. You have to have that depth as a rider. You have to understand and be able to listen. I think one of the things that riders that do well when they're coming up is they listen. Not always thinking that they know everything. The more they listen, the more they can learn, and it makes the ability to learn and train and excel go a lot faster. As soon as you start thinking like, oh, I can do my own thing, or I'll let it go pear-shaped, as we like to say, and have it not go the right way, and then learn from that. You have to do some of that, but man, it makes a lot of a difference when you can ask a World Cup winner, a world champion, a national champion, hey, what is your experience with this, and what can you tell me that I don't already know?
Yeah, and for Lucinda Brand, a first win for a new team in your first race back. That is a dream scenario.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I'm sure Sven Nys is going to be really happy with that. I'm sure the entire team is going to be proud of Lucinda for being able to pull that off. I know they were very excited to have her, and I know that Trek's going to be just really excited to be able to have this rider in their ranks now.
They will indeed. Right, we have a little half time, and the men's race, we are about 23 minutes. We start on the hour. Jeremy and I will be back about 10 to the hour. A little half time entertainment. We've got how to ride ruts.
Ooh, this is a good one.
Is that a good one?
Yeah. We had fun with the edit on that one. We have a talking snake in this one.
Oh, cool. We like that. And we also have a little bit of our podcast as well. Jeremy putting his podcast together. I get to make a little cameo appearance each week. Enjoy our halftime content and join us for the elite men's race.
Ruts. R-U-T-S, ruts. When you're having a bad day, you call your mom up and you're like, Mom, I'm not doing good. And she says, honey, it sounds like you're in a rut. Well, that's not a good thing. But on the cyclocross bike, being in a rut is actually an amazing thing. You want to ride ruts. So today's video is going to be all about how to make ruts, how to ride in the rut, and to have a great day out on the cyclocross bike. So why is it important to learn and to use ruts when you see them out on the course? If you can imagine an off-camber section of riding, something that's slightly downhill, that's like either sandy or muddy, well, if you try to go across it, you're just gonna slide out and go down. But if there's a nice rut, then you're gonna be able to put your tires into it and ride it like a train on tracks across that obstacle. It's also important to think about a rut as something that allows you to carry your momentum and speed. If you're coming into a rut in a sand pit, well, then you're able to carry your momentum through because someone has already made that rut. Whereas if you're just having to plow through straight sand, it's gonna be really, really hard on your bike. So first off, let's check out how we make a rut. First things first, where do you make these ruts, Jeremy? Well, if you have a local sand pit like this one, that's a good idea. You could also look up a local volleyball court where people obviously play volleyball. That you can make nice ruts into that, make a little track. Also, if you have a local pond or a beach, those are all great places to get your sand training on. Okay, so here at the pit, where are we gonna do a fresh sandbar? Well, right down here, if you can look, there is untouched, completely manicured by the Mother Nature and rain. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come down this hill and I'm just gonna make a simple U-turn in the sand pit. And that's gonna give me a sense of showing you guys from start to finish how you make a rut. It's going to take at least 5 passes before you get a nice rut going. That is what it takes to be able to make a rut. You guys saw 6, 7 passes, something like that. Then I've got now a really good line. The hardest part of this for me is actually the entrance. You can see that this part was the softest amount of sand, but now that I've plowed my front wheel through there, I've got it down to the underground, meaning like the hardest part, it's tamped down. So now I've got a nice straight shot all the way to this turn. I can use all my finesse and my body weight, picking my head up, all these little tips that I'm going to talk to you guys more about to be able to get through this perfect. Now that you've got something nailed down and a good rut going, start to think about how you're weighting up the bike. You want to make sure that you're getting your weight really far back, like as far back as the seat will allow you to be on it. You also want to look now, where are you going? A good friend of mine, Ben Spies, a former MotoGP superstar, once told me that you have to pick your head up and look through the turns. And the last thing is, you don't want to have a high cadence because you'll literally be bouncing all over the bike, completely off balance. So make sure you have a nice lower to medium cadence when you're riding in the sand. Let's go. I've got my weight really far back. I'm looking up with my head. It takes me right through the turn perfectly. So you want to make sure that when you're going to ride sand that you have a pair of slick tires. Lots of manufacturers make them. I'm using the Continental Cyclo-cross speed tires, which are just about 100% slick. They've got little knobs all over them, but you want to make sure that you don't have any tires that have bite on them. Tires that have bite, not great. You want to have a big traction patch, meaning like the most amount of tire that you can possibly have on the ground, and slick tires are actually what complete that. So you also want to bring your tire pressure way, way down. You don't want to have 50, 60 pounds. You need to have nice, soft pressure in your tires so that the tire is moving underneath you. The sand is also moving, so in order to have the tire moving while the sand is moving, you have to have low pressure. So to reinforce how important ruts are, we're here at the local track where we've got this nice uphill section, and then we come into an off-camber, pretty steep downhill section. This section rides exactly like I said before, like a train on tracks. But if I was to hit this fresh, like something here or whatever, I'd be completely flying over the bars. So I'm gonna attempt to show you guys what it looks like in the ruts and not in the ruts. Okay, so I'm gonna take this perfectly manicured rut all the way down. Whoa! And now I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like if we don't use the rut. I can't promise exactly how this is gonna go, but oh gosh. So, the key takeaway, you always want to use the road most traveled, and that is why ruts work so well. Here I am at the apex of a figure 8. A couple years back, the Cyclocross World Cup in Coxyde, Belgium was canceled. I was actually there, sitting in a hotel room, having flown transatlantically to find out that the race was canceled because of wind and rain. And I was thinking in my head, well, that's not that cool. Wout van Aert, a pal of mine, posted on his Instagram later that day when he got home in his local sand pit that he went out and did a big figure 8 in that sand pit, and it pretty much caught the world of social media on fire. Every single rider went out and did a figure 8 in their sand pit, and well, the rest is history. We've been doing figure 8s here ever since. Shout out to Wout on getting that video up and teaching us all a little bit about how he trains. So why does a figure 8 make sense? Well, it's constantly challenging you. So I always create a figure 8. Here's one from a previous training session that we have already. It allows you to constantly be challenged. You're always pushing yourself, and you have to get a nice big stretch of sand to be able to make one, and then you can link it up with other sections. So then you've got that drop, you've got that U-turn over there, then you've got your figure 8, and then you've got yourself a pretty hard little sand training circuit. maybe a little bit of inspiration about how you ride these figure eights, here I come, is make sure that you use all of the things that we talked about. You want to keep your weight back, you want to pick your head up, you want to make sure that you're in the right gear, and it's all about balance and agility. Everything that I talked about is going to make this drill a lot of fun, and it's going to really help you become a good rider in the sand and in the mud, and where cyclocross riders really shine in the technical stuff. I'm always hearing at the races, commit to the rut, commit to the rut. Now you guys have some good tips to be able to actually commit to the rut. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You got something out of it. Share it around, tell your friends, get out there, start riding some figure eights, post them on the gram, let us know what's going on. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below. If you want to see other great tutorials, how-tos, cyclocross stuff, check out right over here. If you want to subscribe to GCN, right there.
Great to have Maggie with us. We go way back. I used to be his manager a long time ago. He's one of my best friends and haven't done cyclocross with him before, so that was a first. And then Nikki Bramier, she made her commentary debut just a few weeks away from giving birth, and she was fantastic. It was great to have her, and great to have her insight as well.
Man, yeah, it was fun to watch today. And sitting at the top, obviously, Ely Easterbeat and Tom Pidcock, a duel.
Yeah, it was like a U23 race. They battled a lot of races in recent years in the U23 World Cup. So Ely is also super strong, started the season very well, and Pidcock.
This is going to tell us a lot about you. So
Okay.
you're hanging out at the race and you got to go to the bathroom, but you had an idol of yours. And I don't know who this might be, but they sent you a message on Instagram. So you're so excited, you're like, oh my God, my idol sent me this message. You run to the bathroom and you're just kind of crazy, but you literally forget that you had your phone in your jersey pocket. Kerplunk.
Oh no.
It goes in. Do you quickly, without thinking, thrust your hand into that blue, murky nastiness and retrieve your phone? B, you yell as loudly as you can to David and you make him get it. C, in a complete freak out, you scream like Mortal Kombat style, you run out of the portalette and you kick it over to retrieve your phone. Or D, is it gone forever?
Oh my God. That is a tough one. You know, like the logical part of me wants to say D, but I know myself, and I know that if it actually fell down, unfortunately, my first reaction, without thinking, I would probably put my hand right in it and grab it, and then be like, what did I just do? I think it would be like, I would regret, but I would do it without thinking.
Welcome back. We are roughly just over 10 minutes away from the elite men's race. We have some riders lined up for today. Not quite who we were expecting on the start list from the European Championships yesterday, but we've got a good field.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, Vanderpool, obviously the headliner. Lawrence Sweek running second. Not last weekend. And Rudder Vorda, so a lot of strength in the front end of this race. Going to be a good fight. Running down the list here is Lawrence Sweek, Marcel Meissen, Jens Adams, Tom Mewson, who didn't make the trip down to the European Championship, should have good legs for today. Jim Aronouts, Vincent Basteens.
Yeah, let's take Tisa Arts. Had a win in the UK from memory yesterday. Dieter Swake, Stan Godry, Thomas Main, who has had you're a bit of a fan of Thomas Main of Tartaleto. He's had that breakthrough performance in Berringen. Had a good start in the under-23s yesterday, actually, Thomas Main. He did look good. Ryan Cortunes as well from Corendon Circus. What's your gut feeling? Because yesterday, Mathieu van der Poel, it kind of demonstrated what you can do when you ride as a team. He had a bit of a Belgian conga line going on behind him yesterday. There was a rainbow with a sea of blue behind him. Do you think if those teams start combining and riding more aggressively as teams that they can try and maybe take the edge off the dominance?
You know, this is Mathieu van der Poel that we're talking about as the guy that they need to beat. So I think that anytime you're talking about that conversation, it's It's how are we going to do this, and what are we going to be doing? That what are we going to do differently that we haven't done in the past? I think that as Erwin Vervecken said in the podcast, when you're lining up against Van der Poel, it's a little bit like it stinks. It's tough because he's so dominant. He holds all of the jerseys. He's got like literally all the cards. It's like it's not a fun game, but as a bike racer, you have to challenge them. So they're going to bring everything that they can. It's going to be about who recovered the best. Yesterday, Van der Poel went hard. Someone like Tom Mewson might be able to capitalize on all that effort that went out the window yesterday.
He said he didn't have great sensations yesterday. Now, this is the second round of the Rectavit series. Let's just remind ourselves of the GP Pelt. Lawrence Wake, Quentin Hermans, Lars van der Haar. I've got to say, what a recovery from Lars van der Haar in that GP Pelt, because when he went down on those barriers right at the beginning, he hit the planks. We were Lars. And it dented, we saw in subsequent races after that, it kind of dented his confidence. But it was a great recovery for him to get back and get on that podium.
It was, yeah. He was absolutely going over those barriers, thought he had it, didn't, had to unclip, and that's just how it is.
Now, if you don't want to know what happened in the women's race, we promised today we won't give any spoilers away during the men's race. But if you don't want to know what happened in the women's race, if you're going to go back and watch that afterwards, then press mute, put your hands over your eyes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is what happened. What a race we had. Great start from Kim van der Steen. Van Looy got a great start, but it was the return of Lucinda Brand that we were excited about.
Absolutely. Riding for Sven Nisse's squad, the Telenet Balawaza Lions, wearing that Dutch national champions jersey. She came out with a sting, Marty. She looked back over her shoulder but was going bananas. It was Katie Compton that ended up being the challenger of the day, locking horns, and it was a battle.
You could see how far back Katie Compton was at this point, because Brand got a phenomenal start. It was great to see Talita De Jong also getting a great start. Ellen Van Looy as well on this really, really treacherous section here, doing the Tone Arts kind of one-footed descent. We saw him go into a double knee slide. Marion Norbert Riberola here in the pink and white. She stayed with Lucinda Brand for a while, the young French rider. It was Compton that gradually just rode her way back through here. Norbert Riberola was clinging on to Brand, but Compton, she's been on the podium multiple times already this season.
Absolutely, Compton coming in, wanting to try to take the victory here. Lucinda Brand deciding to take her gloves off. Definitely, there was changing conditions out there throughout the race. As you see, Katie Compton locked horns, got in there, passes Riberola, even took the front of the race, as we see here, going over the barriers, only to find out that Lucinda Brand was going to attack her when she went in to get a bike exchange. Here we go. The bike exchange happens, and Lucinda Brand decides, this is where I'm going to go. You can see her head's a little bit tilted. She was going all out to try to take it to Katie Compton. It was Riberola that had a problem with her chain, allowing Ellen Van Looy to get past her, so she was back in 4th place, but Lucinda Brand really opened up a massive gap when she did that attack, Marty.
Yes, we're seeing the bike changes really, they're so tactical, aren't they? Again, there's almost, you would say, for the rider, you want to kind of come into the section, into the pit section side by side. Absolutely. So that you can then read if that rider, if your opponent is going to take a bike change, because they're becoming, again, in these races, we saw Isabit and Pidcock in Koppenberg, and great first success there for Telenet Baloise Lions. Sven Nys, as we said when we finished up the women's race, he's going to be super happy with that one. What a signing.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to be really happy. I mean, it's just great to be able to have a champion like that, in your ranks, to be able to have them riding within your colors. I think it's nice as a team owner. You get to have a new rider come in mid-season, fresh, ready to go like that. That's a win.
Good. Yeah, definitely. Right, let's hear from Katie Compton in her post-race interview.
No, I'm not disappointed. I didn't feel great today, so I rode an okay race. Pretty happy with 2nd place. Of course, I keep getting 2nd or 3rd, but eventually, hopefully, I'll win one.
Yeah, during the race, did you feel, well, first place to win, it's possible or not?
It's always possible. I didn't feel great today, so I definitely struggled towards the end. And then, yeah, I just didn't feel like I had that kick, and Lucinda was stronger today.
Why didn't you feel okay? Is it waking up in the morning and feel the legs and say, okay, it will not be my day, or is it something else?
I don't know. I think some days I wake up feeling good and ready to go, and other days a little tired. I had some good training this week, so hopefully that's why I'm tired. Just in prep for Tabor World Cup and then the Kokstadter World Cup. So, yeah, it was good. I'm happy with second. It's always good to be on the podium.
Okay, looking forward to it. Congratulations.
Thanks.
It's always the $1 million question, isn't it? Why didn't you feel good this morning? And she's like, well, I don't know.
Proper Belgian right there. Just bringing the big questions, just being strong-handed.
Yeah.
But she handled it like a true pro. Just no problem. I don't know. It wasn't the coffee. It wasn't the coffee.
No.
It was just that I just wasn't the best on the day.
He was searching for the controversy there. I remember when I interviewed Wout van Aert in Namur, I said he'd done it. It was his third language interview, and he was like, "Hey, I love you guys. You don't just go for the big baseball bat controversial questions all the time."
Oh
So,
man,
yeah,
fantastic though. It's good to be able to hear her in English. You know, definitely said like, "Hey, I didn't feel like I had that pop." I read through that, and I think that she felt like she maybe, there was one moment where it presented itself as a chance to win the race. She took that chance, wasn't able to match Lucinda Brand's attack, and said, "Hey, that's it. She's better on the day." That's just how the cookie crumbles. You lose a lot more than you win in cyclocross. I've been saying that, in cycling in general, and I think Katie's a great example of that. She's just been in it for so long. We were talking about her accolades, and she's just got a lot of wins. She's got a lot of longevity in the sport.
Now this is a race. Let's look ahead to the men's race. The course conditions. It's really windy out there. I was the weather forecast. The wind was going to kind of drop a little bit. Then it's kind of 22-kilometer-an-hour winds across the course as well. The wind and the rain. You can see the course, that really sort of treacherous sort of downhill run that we've got into that sort of turn. Take us through it.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to come in through that city center. They're going to come off there. They're going to have to jump over a couple of the little curbs and things like that, come into a wooded section. They're going to fly down. They're going to come into where the pit area is, and then it's going to be the off-camber sections that we've seen famously throw riders for a loop over the years. If you don't have your footing on them, then you slide all the way down the hill. It's not a good look. So definitely at the end of the women's race, we were seeing a lot of fatigue setting in on the riders. Then after that, it's going to be into that man-made sand pit, which we call the DIY Home Depot area, which is where you've got all of the man-made obstacles, but the big thick sand pit is going to be there, and then they come back into the field, and that's where they go through the pit again, and then they finish up their lap.
Lawrence Swake that we can see here from Paushausen Bingo. We saw him winning in Pelt. Matthew van der Poel here just warming up on the course, going through. Again, it's always a white shoe day, isn't it? When
you're world champ, it is.
Yeah. You get it. I don't wear. There's no other colour of shoes apart from white. It's good to see him out there rocking the white socks and the white shoes. But Lawrence Swake, for me this year, he's always been one of those riders that kind of we would see, when Wout van Aert and Matthew van der Poel. No disrespect to him, he's a super talent. When they kind of went there, but for me this year, he seems to have managed to just find that little bit extra over the course of between last season and this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lawrence Swake is absolutely been tearing it up. I mean, I think he's always had a big engine. He's been a rider that's come over to the States. I've had a chance to spend a lot of time with him, talk with him. I think we were talking yesterday. He's got a bike shop. He's got his own bike shop with his brother up in the area that they live in. He's got a lot. He's got a family. He's got his family that goes with him to the races. He's got a lot of supporters that come out. They carry the Sweek family flags. They're out there waving them. So I think that he has all the things to be great. I think that they do really love to see him do well in Belgium. And that ride at Ruddervoorde, I had to say personally, for me, it's one of the best rides I've seen from him, at least recently.
Yeah, definitely. And you're getting some picture-in-picture here of the course conditions, that deep sand that Jeremy was talking about. They basically dump a truckload of sand in that section, and that wind and the rain, you can see everyone just wrapped up against the cold here. Running through some other riders that are on the start line. Sean de Bie is back on the start for you road cycling followers from Rome Pot Charles. You'll see him in the orange, and Sean de Bie was quite successful as a young rider in cyclocross, as he was sort of twice national champion as a real youngster back in his sort of debutante days, what you would call those sort of novice days. Tom Mewison here as well. Tom again this year. He's almost looking like the Tom of old.
Yeah, I got to do a day with him where we did a game of bike just last week. So looking very familiar to me, as we had a good laugh and we did some skills out in his local sandpit, famous sandpit near Antwerp in Belgium, as we see the world champion here, Mathieu van der Poel. But yeah, Mewison going to be changing teams, going over to Vincent Bastein's program, the Maze program. So that'll be interesting to see that he's going to make that change on January 1st.
Marcel Meissen, the German champion here, you can see those German champions stripes. David van der Poel from Corendon Circus. And then alongside him, Jim Arnouts. You can see Jim on the front row of the start line here.
Also saw David van der Poel returning from that back injury that he had there. Third rider from your left, Mathieu van der Poel's brother.
Andrew Giuliano there from Grit World Racing, presented by Shimano. He's wearing 69. Joe Williams from Astra's wearing 70. Sean DeBia 71. So just watch the lights. Away we get underway, and away we go. The lights are green. Mewison on. Ooh, big crash off the start line there. Delays a whole bunch of riders. So Thomas Main finds his way through there. Just a bit of a tangle. Let's have a look who's gone down. It looks like the Irish champion David Conroy has gone down there wearing 66. That's a shame for the Irishman. And also just Victor van den Bosch. Again, always the danger, isn't it?
Absolutely is a danger. Yeah, very narrow course here. Unfortunately, still having problems. Not going to be a good way to start his day. It is, it is unfortunate the Dutch rider going down, but I have to say, better that than having an injury that lasts for the whole season. So, yeah, not a great day, not a great way to start your day, but going to get in some riding no matter what. Let's see what happened here, Marty.
Let's have a look. So just have a look. Watch there. Do you see the rider there? Looked like he pulled his foot out. The rider from the sort of Park Hotel team, and that just started that sort of domino effect. It's Dieter Sweek that's up there in second wheel behind Tom Mewison. Van der Poel goes through. You picture this. David van der Poel, Marcel Meissen. It's all well up there. Vinnie Bastens from the Group Hens Mass Containers team. Ooh, just going left and right. Everyone just looking for a little bit of grip here, a little bit of green. But Dieter Sweek, the brother of Lawrence, has got the better start here. Just ahead of Jim Arnouts.
Yeah, it is a big day here. You see Jim Arnouts and Mewison making the front group here, and then Tice Arts right there taking the front as they come through that first corner. Mewison definitely going to be looking to do something here, as you see him lean over a little bit on that left side, getting ready for this, slotting into second place. Whoa, foot out. Now he's back off the bike as we've seen the riders come through this section. This is where it starts to get really crazy, Marty, off the bike.
Wietse Bosmans is the rider in the black and fluorescent yellow that you can see there. Tice Arts, a winner of the Crawley round of the British National Series yesterday ahead of Yannick Peters. Just you can see there Thomas Main, number 14, to the Brit. There's Sean DeBee in the orange from Roompot Charles. So a big field of riders here. So just to pick out some of your other riders, Max Judelson's wearing 68 today as well.
Nice start for him for sure. Looks like one of the Americans is up there in the middle of the group so far. So awesome to see that. As we see Tice Arts, Toon Arts' brother here leading out the race with Van der Poel sitting there as we get a good shot of the world champ coming through. Has to have sore legs from yesterday. No question about it.
It was a tough day for him. They really threw everything at him, didn't they?
Yeah, as we see Mewison and these guys trying to ride the entire sandpit. I was wondering about this, and they are able to just push that power, get through the sandpit. Man, that is some skills on display right there.
That's some serious power out of that corner. You can see just how close the sandpit is to that bottom corner. But Tice Arts, he will have had a big boost as well from that victory yesterday. A lot of Belgian riders heading over to the UK, riding that series. It's not too far, hence why there's a lot of Brits that come this way. A lot of Belgians starting to find their way across to the British series. Tice Arts, you can see this Telenet Bauhaus Lions. This seems to be their favoured tactic on this descent. 1 foot in.
And you got to have something, because this is one of those ones that there's no real manual. You can't train for this. It doesn't have to be pretty. You just have to get through it. As we see that Hens Maze team there in the kind of yellow and orange and black jerseys, which is the team that Tom Mayusen's going to be joining as of January 1st. But right now he's riding for Matthew van der Poel's program, and he's in 3rd place. So as we see David van der Poel.
And Laurent Swake, not far. It's quite not had a great start, Swake here.
No, but I mean, after yesterday, again, Marty, you got to think about that. Did a huge ride yesterday up in that front group, doing a lot of tactics, riding for the Belgian team. Again, it's who wasn't there. Thijs Arts wasn't there. Tom Mayusen wasn't there. So you know, it's all about that travel and how you recover from it. I was seeing, it looked like Van der Poel was taking a look at his watch, kind of just maybe seeing where his heart rate was, trying to see if there's any variables to tell him, man, my legs don't feel great, but maybe my body does. You know, it's just one of those questions that I think he's got to be asking himself after, you know, this isn't usually how they set the season up. They don't usually have a big race followed by another race that they're coming back to with a big travel day in between. It's just hard on the body.
He said yesterday, didn't he? He was like, I didn't have good sensations. And it was how he kind of described it.
Yeah, and I was talking to Lars van der Haar a little bit about this, and he was just saying that that the course yesterday, as we described, not only was it narrow, but there was only one rideable line, which made it even more difficult to be able to get around. You know, it's just that course was just so narrow, on top of being a total single track, as we see Tom Mayusen here in the front, dictating the pace at the race right now.
So they have it, Mayusen, Arts, Arnouts, Van der Poel, Dieter Swake. It's the rider going through next with Jens Adams. Jens Adams also very close to the front. A little bit of a stretch here. Mayusen leading out. Good to see the Corendon Circus man. I think he'll have, again, for Tom Mayusen, he'll enjoy having a little bit of a boost of just having Van der Poel back. The pressure would have been on him, mate, would you say, a little bit so far this season, because he's been their best sort of most consistent, best performing rider so far for Corendon Circus.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think they have a lot of riders. You know, they have Matthew's brother David is out there, and now he's back. As we see Mayusen coming in, boom, boom, over the barriers. We see Thijs Arts jumping, Van der Poel even running them. Interestingly, I was surprised by that a little bit, but David Van der Poel jumping them. You see Vincent Bastiens, you see Marcel Meissen there on the right-hand side of the screen, and yeah, it's I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe too much traffic for Van der Poel to feel like he could jump the barriers there.
Do you know what? I'm impressed to see where Sean DeBee is. Sean DeBee from Rome Pot Charles, if you'll recognise, here he is in the orange. They're kind of focusing in on him a little bit. You'll know him from Lotto, if you watch the road, Lotto Soudal, that sort of DeBee heritage. Danny DeBee is uncle. You know, it's a famous name in world cyclo-cross as we come through at the end of lap 1.
I believe that DeBee's made barrier hopping famous. Isn't that true, Marty?
I think so. You can correct me if I'm wrong on the chat forum, but back in the day, maybe back in the 80s, that kind of thing. You know, I remember reading Cycling Weekly, and I think if from memory, Danny DeBee was the first rider I saw certainly bunny hop in the planks. If I'm wrong, you can correct me on the chat forum, but maybe I'm right. I'm not sure.
Hey, I believe you, and I think that maybe that's where Sven Nys got it from, because I always thought that Sven Nys was the guy that really brought it there. But yeah, as we see, you know who's interesting to see for me is Wietse Bosmans up in the front, rider that I did battle with many times, famously struggled with Lyme disease, had gotten bit by a tick, doesn't know exactly where, but got bit by a tick and has been fighting back. And I was talking to Sven Nys about it because he was teammates with Niels Albert back in the day, and yeah, he just had a lot of problems with his health. Wasn't able to come back from it, but here we see him in 2nd place, you know, coming back to full strength. It's good to see. Again, a lot of, when you're a cyclist, when you're a pro athlete, coming back from an injury or an illness is not a fun thing.
No, not at all. Van der Poel, you can see there. So Tom Mayusen leading out. Jens Adams, Wietse Bosmans, Dieter Swake, all well up there into the pits for a bike change. Arnouts, Arts, David Van der Poel and Mathieu Van der Poel. Mayusen goes in for the first bike change, and it's, again, tactically, just loses a little bit of ground here. It's looking slow, the change today.
Big time, way slower. I mean, we're talking, you know, he just gave up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 10 spots, you know. I mean, that's a lot of daylight to give. You know, he's still not in the picture. There he is. So, yeah, just by taking a bike change, losing a lot of time. It's not good as they come into this running section, because the rubber band end is gonna start to go as we see Weicha Bosman's leading it up this hill on the left side in that black and neon kit. Marty.
Yeah, it's as you say, it's great to see him back in here. You kind of, as you say, when you've got those health problems, you sort of lose those contracts. Sean De Bie here, well up here for him on a good start, because when you come back in for someone like Sean De Bie, we saw it with Lars Bohm, we'll see it with Zdeněk Štýbar when Štýbar comes back into racing. There's no handouts here. You don't get given a front row position because you're somebody.
You definitely do not. You definitely do not. As we see Sweek coming up into second there, and now David Vanderpoel deciding, hey, I'm back from my back injury. I want to have a shot at the front of this race and see if I can stretch my legs out a little bit as they come into this sand section. Boom. Let's see here, using a lot of agility, pushing the bike out in front of them, able to ride that entire sand section and take a bit of a gap. And I think Mathieu will be happy to see his brother come through there as he has to get off his bike to run because everyone else has had to get off in front of him. It looks like it was Jim Aernouts in front of him that had to get off, and Vanderpoel didn't want to take a risk with crashing. But now we see David Vanderpoel able to ace that section, has a nice little gap over the field that he's going to try to extend on.
Nicholas Kleppe also in that group as well. So Vanderpoel just has a little glance back just to see how that gap is behind.
As they tackle this section, just trying to use any footholds that are there to run through. You know, every time you do this, you have to start to train like this, Marty. As you come into races that have this downhill running, you don't think in your head, oh, I'm going to practice this in my training, but you have to. You have to get your muscles ready to take that big impact and just take those huge hits on your legs. Running downhill is not a thing that is a skill that you're like, oh, I should do that. But when you're a cyclocross racer, you have to train running downhill, off camber, get your ankle strength up. If you're worried about twisting an ankle, that's not a good place to be in as a cyclocross racer. You have to be agility. You have to do all the weirdest ways to train, I guess.
Yeah, and you can see, and looking so far this season, the mud, the conditions, the way things are going, we're seeing a lot more bunched racing at a lot longer in the races this season.
Absolutely, and I think, again, you're seeing a lot of tired legs and a lot of fresh legs kind of combined. So you're seeing riders that typically aren't winning the races, they're now leading this race because you're seeing someone like Vanderpoel's like, hey, I got to get the cobwebs out, you know? I got to get the cobwebs out of my legs. I've traveled all night to get to here, to kit up and to get back out there. I mean, there was a meal that had to happen. There was like, 1,000 kilometers or something like that in between him and then getting to actually be on the start line physically. These riders that are at the front did not race yesterday. They have much fresher legs, so someone like Vanderpoel is definitely going to be biding his time and waiting and making one very specific attack as he comes in on the right-hand side, but he's the world champ, so he's able to just chop in a little bit and kind of cut these corners, and everyone is going to give him respect as he moves back up a couple spots to put himself in fourth place.
So our leading group, David Vanderpoel. And Vanderpoel's, again, you kind of have to feel for David Vanderpoel, don't you? It's kind of like Uri Sagan and riders like that. But David Vanderpoel as well, we see him off racing in Switzerland, in France, Czech Republic. He always is, he pulls off a solid season of successful victories, doesn't he?
I mean, he's still got very similar genetics to his brother. I think that Mathieu obviously is definitely the man at the moment. David Vanderpoel, in his own right, still a very solid racer, has tons of victories, raced against him a lot, been able to take some very prestigious wins, and been really strong contender on the circuit. But, there is only one. Oof, as we see a problem going through there, it looks like Lawrence Sweek having a problem kind of trying to get through those barriers. Again, must just be very soft mud in between them and not necessarily safest. And like I said before, if you can't do it 10 out of 10 times, not worth doing. As we see coming in, just a little bit sideways. Let's see here. Boom, one.
Up.
Yep.
He almost flicked the front.
That's right. Yeah, it looks like there was just a little bit too soft on that side, and the front tire sunk in as we see an attack going off the front through the start-finish line.
Jens Adams now makes his move for Palshausen Bingo, coming through to the end of lap 2 here. Jens Adams digging in. Mathieu Vanderpoel comes to the front of that next group.
Van der Poel saying like, hey, look, I'm not going to let that happen. Maybe trying to set something up for his brother. I think that would be a race that he'd be happy to let see go if he was able to set his brother up for a win. I think that's one that he would be able to say, hey, I'm okay with that if David wants to take a swing at this.
Yeah, so Mathieu van der Poel leading out from Dieter Sweek, Jim Arnouts. There's Laurent Sweek with Tom Meusen right locked in on the wheel, just trying to close this one back down. Wietse Bosmans is the rider on the back of that group. Van der Poel just coming through, and again they're sort of looking around, but it seems that again at the moment, the longer Van der Poel sits back, again, you start to get that confidence, don't you? You start to think, is he not on a good day?
Is there chinks in the armor? Is there chinks in the armor? I'm going to take my swing. And yeah, they won't know unless they try. That's the whole thing about it. I think that Van der Poel is obviously the man to beat every time he lines up. But right now, Jens Adams has decided, hey, I'm going to take a swing at this, and he has to. I mean, he's been in the top 5, top 3 of tons of races. He's a very accomplished rider. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's able to put it together, and he knows what he can do. As Van der Poel, though, brings it back, starts to string it out, saying, hey, you know what? I actually have the legs. I don't appreciate you trying to take a swing at me. And now here we go, Marty. Coming past, the world champ is now locked in, and he's got the bit between his teeth.
Mathieu van der Poel now through towards the front. Jens Adams, you can see the almost the panic that sets in onto the off-camber sections now. Van der Poel made his move last year when we were here 12 months ago. It was Mathieu van der Poel that took the race. 1 hour and 1 minute and 6 seconds from Toon Aerts, Laurent Sweek, Lars van der Haar, Marcel Meisters, Joris Neuvenhuis, Jens Adams, Corny van Kessel, Tom Meusen, and Jim Arnouts. That was your order 12 months ago. And Van der Poel through to the front now. Adams, maybe again, you sort of be wondering, oh, okay, was it worth making that effort then?
He poked the bear, as we say in Western Massachusetts, where I'm from. He's poked the bear, and the bear is now out of the cave. He's out of hibernation. He said, you know what? I've had enough. I want to ride this sand section on my own, and I wouldn't be surprised, Marty, if we see him clean this and take a small advantage right away.
Thanks all of you for checking in, and over on the forum as Van der Poel hits the sand with Adams right on the wheel. Look at the power of Van der Poel. We saw him doing this last weekend on that sandy climb, and look at the gap that the world champion has managed to open up through that section. A little dab there for Dieter Sweek. Huge power by the world champion. So a few of you just, I've had a few updates on the, look at that gap. I was just getting,
Man, oh man, what a big advantage he takes. One time through the sandpit, as I said, he was able to just be right up there in the front. He decided, you know what, I want to see what I can do through the sandpit, see if I can make a small advantage. As he does a double leg slide, Marty, down the hill, doesn't even think twice, boom. He's like a cat with 9 lives. He's able to just rip through that. So yeah, hits the sand section, takes about a 5-second advantage there, then comes down the section and is now trooping with the bike, making this all look so easy when it's just not.
Van der Poel in that run up, you can see the rider proper cross conditions. Right, update on the bunny hopping. Lawrence Malone, apparently the American champ, first bunny hopped the barriers in Germany in 1975, was nicknamed the Flying American. Thank you, Richard Zillard.
Here we go with a replay of that. Look at this dual leg slide. Oh. Hey.
Nicely done.
Yes, definitely. Like I said, Marty, running downhills, those were always the things that made me the most sore when you're running downhill with the bike and you just have all of that compression on your legs like that, especially after a day like yesterday where they were doing those big dips and they were having to run up those stairs and do all that stuff. You know, you gotta be young. You gotta be young. This is a lot of really challenging tracks, and the organizers are continuing to throw a lot of unique features at the riders over and over. But very cool to hear about the history of bunny hopping.
Yeah.
I feel like I should have known that.
Wout Wilder as well, apparently. There's some old videos where you could, back from the 60s, from De Vlaeminck bunny hopping the barriers. So thanks for all of you. We love all your input as well.
Early
Thanks
pioneers of bunny hopping.
Just trying to get wrestled back here. There's Meusen, and then the gaps back to our next riders. This is going to be Tom Meusen's teammates next year. Wout Vervoort coming through that section. Van der Poel, though, already just starting to open up that gap. No Eli Iserbyt today to challenge. Iserbyt did one of the rides of rides of his emerging talent yesterday to
Absolutely,
stay
yeah,
with the world champion.
For sure. Yeah, definitely put everything into that. I'm sure that he's just laying in bed, not moving today, watching this race from the couch, probably, hopefully, and making his way back from Italy today, or having already made it. But Van der Poel here deciding to take up the race in Niel and put on a show for us today as he comes in, boom, jumping the barriers. So he is comfortable using that line all the way on the right-hand side of the course, which seems to have pretty good soil still, and is not washed away from all the other riders either walking or riding over it.
When you're coming into a section like this as a pro, as a rider, when you're trying to thinking, okay, because when you're in the mud, it's really unpredictable, isn't it? When you're putting the bike down in between when you're bunny hopping.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the difference between putting it down or not, it's just about the underground, it's about the tire pressure, it's about the underground, it's about finding a spot that you feel is comfortable and kind of having locked it in, on the outsides of the barriers. Not a lot of guys are able to run there because they put their bike to the right-hand side of them, so they're not able to run over the barriers and have their bike on the side of them. They have to be more towards the middle. So just by if you exclude that, then you know that the sides are going to be fine, especially the right-hand side, because no one's able to run there unless they dismount on the dirty side, which is the derailleur side. So I think he's got a good inclination that is going to be the place where the ground is most firm and he's able to jump with the least amount of risk.
Mathieu van der Poel goes through about 19:05. That gap, lap 4 of 9. We are on here in the Rectavit series here in Niel. Thanks for your company today. Marcel Meissen leading the next group through. Just over 30 seconds down. The gaps are still tight at this stage of the race. This is your chasing group. Plenty of the Pal Sousen Bingoal team in this group, but Van der Poel already just stretching this gap out here. It's great to see the world champion in full flight.
Yeah, he's recovered the fastest. He's showing us that he's the world champion. He decided very methodically to pop himself to the front right there at the sand section and make a stamp on this race, opening immediately 5 bike lengths up just by riding that sand section with prestige. He's now got the high cadence. He's doing a training effort and going as hard as he can, probably using this race to build form, because really this is only Van der Poel's 3rd race so far this year, Marty. I mean, you think, oh, he's been, you just see him right back at the front, you think, yeah, it's no big deal, but he's honestly, this is his 3rd start. Yesterday in the Euro Champs, that was his 2nd start. He did his first one in Ruddervoorde, took the win, was challenged, it was a good race in Ruddervoorde. Yesterday, definitely challenged. This is the first time that we've seen him really do the Mathieu van der Poel show, where he's been able to ride off the front with a big gap by doing one hit right away through that sand.
Laurent Sweeck leading here from Jens Adams. So right behind him, Dieter Sweeck right on the backs of the Sweeck brothers, topping and tailing this group. Jim Arnouts also in here as well. There's Jim Arnouts. You can see him through the mud. David van der Poel goes through. David Kleppe is the other rider. Tissarts is also in there as well.
As you see the rain coming down, it has picked back up, and it is definitely a nasty one out there today as he rides through the DIY section, as we've been calling it, through the building materials area, where he'll rip this sand section. The show of power and his ability to just push the bike out in front of him and make his own line. You can see that right-hand side has a decent area that the riders have ridden over, but I am impressed, very impressed, as we see Sweeck trying to make the difference here, really bring that gap back down to Van der Poel as he's trying to run away with it. But you see that right-hand side of the sandpit, Marty, the way that the riders go through it, they know that the line is there. It's been broken, it's been ridden. They can get down to something that's solid, but Sweeck has to say, nope, enough is enough, as we see a lot of confusion in the back. Riders, everyone having to get off. When one person's off, everyone's off. So Van der Poel, the only rider able to ride this lap after lap consistently and able to take an advantage.
Double wheel, double foot slide there from Mathieu van der Poel. Good question here on looking at the going through that section. Robert Zemanek, greetings from the Czech Republic. Thanks for tuning in. Look at a lot of our GCN viewers, Jeremy, really interested in power, FTP. What sort of power levels someone like Van der Poel and Sweeck? I know it's $1 million question, and riders don't. It's very difficult to race with a power meter on, but. What sort of numbers is your top pro cross rider putting out?
1 million.
If you're Van der Poel.
You know, I think it's not about how much power they're putting out. It's about their ability to be over a certain power. You know, I think Van der Poel's ability to go up to probably 500, 600, 700, 800 watts consistently over and over and over again is what makes him unique. I think that, you know, a lot of riders would have to motor pace or have to come out of a big stage race to be able to get that type of effort in where you're constantly being exposed to really high numbers at a kind of at a vicious pace, like over and over. You know, all these little hills, all these little sand sections, all this different stuff. He's able to produce that power at a low cadence, which gives him an advantage in conditions like this and in the sand. He's also able to produce that power out of the explosivity, like when we see his arms flailing and he's just going all out and really opening up those gaps. So I think it's not necessarily about like what his 20-minute time trial power is. It's more about his ability to be really aggressive and being able to be really variable and use that his natural skill set and along with his technique and his agility and tactical prowess.
Arnouts goes into the pits. Adams is going to have to take over on the front. I thought it was really when I was out on the Tour of Britain this year, we came into the time trial, Van der Poel and Trentin battling it out of the front. And we always talk about cross riders being good time trialers. We see the likes of Wout van Aert being able to do the same. It was great because Van der Poel was like, I haven't really ridden a time trial since I was a junior.
Didn't he win?
He didn't get the time trial, but he got the jersey back and he won it overall.
So he was able to hang on to it pretty well. He was able to do just fine. I mean, I think, again, a rider, we're talking about Mathieu van der Poel, so when we're talking about him, it's a little different than the regular person. You know, I hop on a TT bike that I haven't trained on. Okay, you know, for a person that hasn't done a time trial, probably setting the bike up closer to their road position versus being in a super aggressive position, and just his ability as he comes into these barriers and jumps them, boom, boom. I think just the ability to be able to put out the amount of power that he's able to put out for 20 or 30 or 40 minutes is enough, not necessarily being the most aero guy. He's able to come by because he is very genetically gifted with the amount of power that he's able to put out over a long period.
What do you think, like Mathieu at the moment, the multi-discipline riding that he's doing as Swake comes in here to bunny hop the barriers? Do you think again, like Sagan, when Sagan first came into to road racing as well, he comes from a mountain bike background, that people are going to start maybe thinking, gosh, you know, what can he do, Grand Tours and that kind of thing, because he doesn't want to get pushed to lose weight, does he, and try to trim down too much and try and, you know, then we go, oh, he can climb, and then you lose that essence of what you are as a rider.
Yeah, the media loves to talk about that. You know, they love to say like, oh, Fabian Cancellara could win the Tour, you know, can Sagan win the Tour? It seems like they can do everything, but I think the riders look at it and, you know, there's a quality of life issue, you know, having to lose all that, having to reformulate their body when they've already been really good at something. It's kind of like, yeah, do you need to have all of the cake? You know, can you just pick one thing and be good at it? And Sagan did. You know, he's a one-day rider. He's a sprinter. It's the same with Van der Poel. Van der Poel is going to do, from what he's said to the media, he wants to do his first Grand Tour this year after the Olympics, which would be the Vuelta. And I think everybody that's done a Grand Tour that I know, you know, the longest tour I ever did was 2 weeks, and I can say that it changes you as a rider doing 2 weeks every single day and finishing it. Did a couple of those in my career, and the ability to withstand multiple days of training and the high volume and intensity day after day. Like in a race, you don't get the opportunity to say, nah, you know what, I'm not going to train today. You have to suffer. So it pushes you in a way that you cannot imagine as a pro rider. And so Van der Poel going into his first 3-week tour in, probably about 9 months time at this point, that's going to be a big change for him after an already big 2020 with the Classics, then with the Olympics, and then a Grand Tour. Whew.
Yeah, and a lot of people do forget though as well that Julien Alaphilippe comes from cyclocross as well. He was he won World Cups as an under-23. We can claim him as well as one of our own.
For sure, but yeah, never have we seen at the highest level somebody do what Van der Poel's doing that I know of. You know, where they're able to win a mountain bike World Cup, they're able to win a cyclocross World Cup, they're able to win a race like Amstel Gold on the road, and then potentially go for the Olympics and a Grand Tour. Pretty much unprecedented.
That would be quite cool to win the Olympic mountain bike and go and win a stage of the Vuelta. His brother, David Van der Poel, chasing down Klepet, Sweek, Adams, and Arnouts. This is proper cross, isn't it?
It is nasty.
I love it.
It is gross out. It looks like it has stopped raining again for just a minute as we see some of the umbrellas are down. People are just out on the holiday here in Belgium. Marty, what is the holiday?
This is it. So we've had the Remembrance Sunday yesterday.
It is. Is
So,
it? I believe
it's
it's Remembrance Day or something of that nature, isn't it?
Yeah, so the Remembrance Day, the 11th of November, it's a national holiday, France and Belgium, so it commemorates the armistice between the Allies in Germany and Compton in France for the sort of cessation of the Second World War. So Remembrance Day, it kind of goes,
Very
on
cool.
ahead.
Very cool that they're able to do that here in Belgium. It is nice to see that everyone comes out for the cross race on Remembrance Day. It's something. This is exactly what we're talking about. When we're talking about the UCI calendar changing things. This is one of those races that's not going to change. It's always on Remembrance Day. It's on the November 11th. This is the race. Everybody knows. They come to Niel and they come out and they watch this one.
T-Sarts chasing hard here in third place. Don't forget, if you're watching our coverage today, give us a thumbs up. That always helps. Give us a subscribe as well. We have so much cyclocross as Kleppe just brings everyone to a halt behind him and goes down there. Is Nicholas Kleppe? Give us a thumbs up. Give us a subscribe as well. We have lots of cyclocross action to come over the course of this winter and then into the road season next year. We also have the GCN Racing news show, which comes out today. That is with Dan today. So we have that every Monday. Put that in your diaries. So spread the word. Let everyone know that we're here. We're doing our best to bring you all live cyclocross free around the world, simultaneously on both YouTube and Facebook. T-Sarts. I'm liking T-Sarts the way he's Ghent. We've seen him steady by steady. He's the younger brother of Tone Arts. Steady by steady, little by little, started to get up there. We saw him doing some work for his brother the other week as well. Had a good win in the UK yesterday as well. I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, he's been definitely. It was cool when they were over for the World Cups United States. Tees was racing the UCI C2 before the World Cup, and Toon Aerts was not racing it, but he was out there yelling for his brother, cheering him on. Their whole family was out yelling for them. So yeah, definitely they're brothers in arms for sure. They like helping each other out and critiquing each other, and yeah, I think they like traveling together as well.
Just a few questions. Fazana Patricia, I hope that I got that right, is I'm getting my history wrong, sorry, World War I. I'm trying to concentrate on the race as well. I do apologise.
I apologise for
yeah,
that as
my,
well.
my apologies for that. When you're trying to look up and down between the race. My apologies, Velo 73. Yes.
That's okay, and it is Veterans Day in the United States, so it's something, obviously these are days, we remember World War I, we remember everything that happened there, and yeah, and the Belgians remember it by putting on the cyclocross race in Niel. They come out, they support the riders, they put on a big race, and that's how they spend their day. It's good,
And sometimes you're about to say something and someone talks in your ears and the wrong word comes out, which is why we mispronounce things sometimes as well. So yeah, our next group, Marcel Meitz and Vita Bosman's here, Meissen here from Corendon Circus.
Got the tongue out.
Really
got the
working
tongue
hard
out. He's
here.
going all in as you see the riders coming through. Just heinous conditions today here in the pits. Coming through a lot of work for the mechanics, a lot of work to get all those bikes back from Italy, cleaned up, turned around, and ready for the riders today. Probably a lot of new chains, a lot of new brake pads, a lot of massage, a lot of food. Got to be able to get these riders back here and at tie speed. As you can hear, Vanderpoel's tires just squeaking through those turns as he's running big mud tires on the concrete, trying to run them at their limits as he makes these corners and switches between the pavement and the grass.
Just apologies again. In terms of Vanderpoel and racing, all the multi-disciplines, we Marianne Vos, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, we do big them up all the time. Vanderpoel, Vos, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, they're all they're legends. We do Mathieu Vanderpoel going through at the end of this lap. Laurence Swait, you can see lap 6 of 9 here. We're about half distance at the moment in this one.
About 30 minutes in, and Vanderpoel is off on a tear, running in a time trial fashion. He's got 25 seconds on Laurence Swait. As we see now, Thijs Aerts, Toon Aerts' brother, coming in, taking up third spot, taking a look behind him, looks back, and I believe that's David Vanderpoel that he's seen coming behind him.
Yeah, David van der Poel having a good day here. Laurens Sweeck, no one able to stay with Matthew van der Poel when he attacked. This chasing group behind Meissen and the Bosmans here. This is your chasing group. Jens Adams, Tom Meyerson, Jim Arnouts and Dieter Sweeck. Riding well together, these various groups behind. Back up to our leader though, Matthew van der Poel. And Robert Zemanek just riding me as well. Jean-Christophe Perrault, silver medal in Beijing in the cross-country, second overall in the Tour de France 2014. Yes, indeed. I will say, you know, we love all your comments and your input as well. We do have brains full of utterly useless information, but even we forget things from time to time. I do have a brain that's just full of useless information, but we love all your input. Thanks for reminding us. On to this off-camber section. This course suits Matthew van der Poel. He won here 12 months ago. Great crowds out celebrating. It doesn't matter what the weather's like in Cross, is it? Either it just gets out, and there's always a DJ and a beer tent, a big party afterwards.
Absolutely. The fans are out. You can see they've got their big Laurens Sweeck poster there. You can see that they're holding up their all of their banners for their favorite riders. They are absolutely fans of this. When it comes to their area, they're out to support their riders, and they want to make sure that they know that they're there. They want to try to get a picture, get an autograph, get a postcard, and just, you know, have some fritz and yell on the sideline. It's a cool way to spend an afternoon, and I think it's become, you know, it's a very historic thing that happens in Belgium. We're talking a lot about this with riders as we've been able to see now what the UCI is considering for the new World Cup calendar. You know, a lot of riders don't want to see the calendar change as much as they've proposed. Maybe somewhere in the middle. You know, there's no doubt that there could be some improvements to the calendar. There could be some changes, but they don't want to see the history of the sport change. They want to continue to see the same races that are historic, like this one here in Niel, continue to be run. They want to be a part of them, and they want to have some consistency year to year.
Into the sand now, Laurens Sweeck. Staying on the bike through there. Just look at the focus of Laurens Sweeck through that section. Matthew van der Poel on the run up. Here comes Tissarts, 22-year-old, 2014 World Junior Cyclocross champion. Twice a national champion as an under-23 as well. And if you've won those titles in your home country, former World Junior champion, national champion as an under-23 Tissarts, shows the pedigree that you've also got.
Hey man, yeah, these guys all putting a lot of time and energy into, you know, getting these skills. If you can imagine riding through a 2-foot deep sandbank like they are right now and being able to clear it 30+ minutes into the cyclocross race, it's a very unique skill set, as we see Kleppe coming through with Bosmans behind him, and then Marcel Meissen just behind him in the German national champs colors. Got that cool national champ German painted national champ Canyon bike as well. Very cool to see all these national champions, world champions with the custom bike. Van der Poel's looking very cool, and I think that we have a pro bike coming from Van der Poel's world champ bike real soon.
It's a beautiful looking bike, isn't it?
It does look very cool, yeah, and I have to say his whole kit is very well color coordinated. Got the shoes, the helmet, everything matching just on point, as it should be.
Definitely. This man here, Laurens Sweeck, as we said a little bit earlier on, definitely has stepped up this season. And this man here had a more of a race on his hands yesterday with Elie Iserbyt, the Belgians, Michael Van Turenhout. They really raced as a team, but today when Van der Poel went, there was just no answer. These are his, again, he loves the tough conditions, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. Absolutely. And someone asking over on the chat about how the riders clear their pedals after they go through the sand. And the thing is, if they don't have to get off, then they don't have to clear them. But if they're getting off and running, typically a good whack with the shoe on the pedal itself allows it to get clean enough to be able to clip in. It's, you know, there's certain pedals do it better than others, but generally speaking, the cross riders have always asked for pedals that clear mud very easily, as we see Van der Poel going past a lapped rider. Hard day out there for some of these riders going against the world champ and someone of Van der Poel's stature. But overall, it's not about any, you know, usually no like products are put on the pedals or anything like that. It's usually metal to metal, and just a good kick of the pedals is how they get the sand or mud out of the cleat to be able to clip back in.
We were talking about position earlier, but when you look at Mathieu van der Poel and his cross position and his road position, there's very little difference, if any.
Yeah, there is. You know, he has a very unique frame. You know, he's got very long arms. He's able to kind of move the bike around. I think that is part of what's special about him. It was the same with a rider like, let's say, someone that I'm thinking of is like maybe Bradley Wiggins or Dave Zabriskie, or some of these riders that are able to get very, very aerodynamic, very low, like the genetic ability for them to be able to continue to put power out in a time trial position at a very, very low center of gravity and being really bent over is unique, and not everyone can do that. They aren't able to produce the same amount of power when they're that low. Van der Poel seems to be able to switch from bike to bike, whether it's mountain bike, road bike, cyclocross bike, without having any change in power or any mechanical issues with his body, and able to really flourish in these, you know, especially on the cross bike. You know, he's able to handle the bike in the same way. He's got great agility. He's able to move and shake. And yeah, haven't seen him, you know, every once in a while you see him crash. He is human, but really very seldomly do we see him on the ground.
Lap 7 of 9, Lawrence Swait goes through T-Sarts, is your chasing rider. JB Hancock just asking Jeremy, the decision for riders to wear or not to wear glasses in the mud seems quite racer dependent. The Van der Poel brothers wearing glasses. Do you think it's a day for the old tear-offs that we used to have as well?
Those would be cool if you were riding a motorcycle. You know, they used to do those tear-offs in the motorcycle all the time. No, I think that it's really just about keeping the flinging mud out of your eyes. I always liked it, but a lot of riders seem to not. They'd be able to blink and to be able to get it out of their eyes very quickly. I think where it throws you for a loop, at least in my experience, was when you'd have the sand. The sand seems to be the thing that you just can't blink out. It sits there, and it can make for some excruciating evenings if you're coming off a cyclocross race like that. But Van der Poel definitely choosing to keep his on, as you see the next couple of riders here, Kleppe, Aaron Houts, and Wietse Bosmans. None of them have glasses. We're seeing these riders also without their glasses on. So yeah, a lot of riders decided today not worth the pain of keeping them on and clearing them. But Van der Poel is in control and seems to be able to take his finger across them, even with the limited visibility. Still feels like it's a better option than the other way around. So Van der Poel almost riding that entire hill there. It's about as far as I've seen anyone do it.
If anyone can do it, he can. Little bunny hop over the top section of that one. So your leader, Mathieu van der Poel from Lawrence Swait, and Dieter Swait and Jens Adams are chasing as well. The group's on the course. Van der Poel onto the cobbled section, back into the big DIY center and towards the sandy section. Swait just grabs the bike, and again we sort of see on different sections, don't we? You know, do you grab the bike by the top tube? Do we, you know, put the bike on the shoulder?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of different things there. You know, I think they're using the bike in this section to be able to get up there and get some stability, as we see Van der Poel coming into the sand, able to ride it with ease. You see the body language all over it, just pushing the bike out in front of him. But the thing that he's doing is he's keeping the pressure on the pedals, always pushing that bike forward, always getting the momentum of the rear tire going in the direction that he wants to go. And he never lets off the gas, just kind of as he tries to hit those ruts, moving the upper part of his body to be able to correct and overcorrect and undercorrect and really force that front tire to go where he wants it to go, which is in the rut.
How, again, when you come into a section like this, gear selection wise, what are you looking at when you're coming into that section out of that corner where you're trying to kick it into that deep sand and make it all the way through?
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to keep a nice medium cadence. You don't want to be too high, you don't want to be too low. You want to be somewhere in the middle so that you're not flopping all over the bike. You know, with a high cadence, that's what would happen. You'd be doing a lot of movement on the machine, kind of all over the place. So you want to keep a nice medium to low cadence, be able to keep your head up, look forward. All the things that we talked about when I recently took Oliver, our other GCN friend, colleague here, out to the Zonhoven Sandpit. So if you haven't seen that video, that is a good look at what it's like as a beginner coming into a big race with a lot of sand as a cyclocrosser.
So Tom Mayerson just leading out here.
as we see Sweek's younger brother, Diether, coming in, trying to get through that sand flawlessly, as we see Lauren's now coming through, going down. Big family sport cyclocross is. Lauren Sweek coming through, able to navigate this, as you just see that slick layer of mud on the top of the course, really making it difficult for these riders today. This is that section we've been talking about, Marty, where we've seen now here Thijs Aerts able to just run up it, puts the bike on his shoulder. We've seen a couple different techniques coming through here. Thijs Aerts running very solidly today, looks really good on the bike, and it seems like he's in good control. He's happy with the tire pressure. He's very focused. He's in contention for a good finish. So good day for him out there on the course.
It is indeed. So he'll be pleased with this one. A victory yesterday, T-Sarts, and a podium today for the younger brother of Toon Arts. And a little question on a comment over on the Dave Edwards is saying, is Van der Poel even trying? And I think sometimes you look at Van der Poel in this position and it looks like he's cruising, but to ride at this level, at this speed, and hold off, goes down, Mewson goes down there, just losing the footing on that section. Everyone's been dicing with that section all day.
Absolutely, Mewson just getting a little bit, just doing the leg slide there, but just missed out, just lost his balance just a little bit, ends up on his bum, and is able to jump right back up and keep going, no problem. That's cyclocross, like I said before. It doesn't have to be pretty, you just have to get through it. So he's able to do it. Yeah, it is definitely a day for being an agile rider. There's a lot of weird, unique off-camera, which this race has become really famous for over the years.
Nothing I ever do is pretty on a bike anyway. So.
Yeah, we got Peter checking in from Florida. Peter, thanks so much. It's great to have you. Send some of that warm weather up north, if you will, please. Another rider saying they'd love to see cyclocross as a winter Olympic sport. Olympic winter sports need to be on snow or ice, and I would agree with that, except for that we do often race on snow and ice, especially as we get towards January. So I think a lot of the riders, if the Olympics needed to be that, although does it need to be on snow and ice? Does it need to be? It's a winter sport by every sense of the word. Anytime you're riding your bike in the fall and winter, it's cold, nasty, and gross. So I would really personally love to see the Winter Olympics take cyclocross on. I think it would be really cool, and I think it would bring a lot of nations in and make this sport that I personally love so much even more attractive, and put it on the tip of tongue for a lot of people that haven't been exposed to it.
Indeed, and I'm sure it could be incorporated somehow. Here's your chaser, Laurence Sweek. And again, when you look at the time gap, when you look at Laurence Sweek, he's still, he's just over 30 seconds down on Mathieu van der Poel, and that's a respectable distance. And kind of Lars van der Haar, I think, said it to you when you interviewed him. If you're riding within a minute, couple of minutes, or a minute and a half of van der Poel at this level, you're a serious talent.
Yeah, I mean, if you take van der Poel out of this race, then Sweek now has about almost 20 seconds over Thijs Aerts. So you're seeing, there's still a lot of racing that's going on. You'd still see big gaps. Van der Poel obviously riding at the top of the class right now. I think that all these riders have to, again, like I said at the beginning of the race, they have to assume that there is a chance. They line up at every race expecting that they can take a win. They've trained their faces off. They're absolutely peaked out. They're coming into this. They've got a lot of races under their belt. They know what to expect, but there's always the chance to seize an opportunity, and that's what you show up to as a pro bike racer. You never say, I'm going for second place or I'm going for third place. You always line up thinking, there's a chance.
So your order across the line so far: Mathieu van der Poel, Sweek, then Meissen, Bosmans goes through there. And is it David van der Poel still on the back of there? I couldn't quite make it out through the mud.
I'm sorry that I didn't catch it either, or didn't quite get that picture, but we do see Laurence Sweek coming into the picture in second place. As you see, he's very focused. The bikes look super clean. You can't even see a single cable on them anymore, Marty. The front ends of these bikes, hyper clean. He's got them all tucked away in that frame set, but you do see Van der Poel still with the brake lines out as he comes onto the cobbled section. Just so many different types of surfaces here that these riders are on, but it's Thijs Aerts in 3rd place. He's going to be really happy with that, especially after coming off that win yesterday in the UK. Makes the trip back, presumably using the Eurotunnel, fires back over here with his crew, gets his bikes, gets all of his stuff, and now he's here riding in 3rd place, getting on the podium, which he'll be very happy with.
And again, just look at Mathieu van der Poel just controlling that bike, the bike moving underneath, just a great close up there of the technique of van der Poel through the deep sand. Yeah, it's a good facility to be able to use the Eurotunnel, because you can be, especially if you're in the south of England, you can be in Belgium in sort of 3 hours to a race. There's Meus and Adams and Dieter Sweek, your next riders, just peering out through the mud. The Corendon Circus man with the 2 Pau-1000 bingo riders, Mathieu van der Poel onto this bank again. The controlled 2-footed slide from the world's champion here.
Yeah, it's Thijs Aerts. I was just looking up his results. Has not placed on the podium in a big race like this with some of the big names yet this season. So a ride that I think we're seeing an inspired ride from Thijs Aerts. To be able to get on the podium here would be really good, and would also line up the Talita Balois Lions team to have a good weekend, having won the women's race with
Don't give a spoiler for the women's race in
right,
case anyone hasn't seen it.
We're not going to give a spoiler, so no spoiler. But Talita Balois Lions wins the women's race. We'll leave it there. And having been on the podium here in 3rd place, it'll be good. It'll be a good weekend for them.
Just a good question. Dave Edwards is asking, looking at this in terms of the running, how much running are riders doing, and how much would Van der Poel have had to potentially do? I know it's kind of in theory, between coming off the road and coming into cross.
Man, that's a great question. I think that there is a lot of running training that goes in for a cyclocross pro. I will always say a few runs per week leading into the season is good. Is good practice. I think the thing is that when a rider does more running training, they're better able to take the demands on day to day. So if you have a race where you're off the bike a lot, and that is part of cyclocross, you're off the bike, you're running with the bike. That is what the sport's about. So if you're going to be doing that, then you have to have the training in. The more you do, the better off you are. If you're not a good runner, then saying like, hey, I'm not a good runner and I'm not going to train at it, that's not the way to go. Having been a rider with that, big calves, always kind of clomping through the mud, heavy legs, not my strong suit for sure, but I had to run a lot later in my career because the riding, cyclocross races just became more and more running on and off the bike. You have to be efficient and you have to make it a strength of yours. You cannot have a weakness in cyclocross. Running, if that's your weakness, it's not a good one to have, especially if you plan on racing over here in Europe.
This chasing group, you can see very much coming back together. So the race here for the sort of 4th place, the Van der Poel, Sweek and Thijs Aerts. And then the gap, there's Wietse Bosman's best ride we've seen, best performance we've seen from Wietse Bosman's for a while. You can see now in this black and fluorescent yellow skin suit. If you're just tuning into our coverage, welcome aboard. This is the Rectavit Series round 2 from Niel. Mathieu van der Poel, fresh from another European title yesterday. The winner last year. We're getting a little bit of a replay here of Mathieu van der Poel through that section. Just rides the big banner at the side, where he will come round and get the bell lap next time. So Van der Poel, just when you look back through the history of the race, only won it once so far. Toon Aerts a couple of times, 2016, 2017. Ken Powell's won it in 2015. Sven Nys won it a couple of times. Niels Albert, and then Lars Boom. Quite a few, again, back-to-back victories for Sven Nys, and then Lars Boom back in 2008. But thanks for your company today. Mathieu van der Poel comes around here. He's about to get the bell. 1 lap to go for van der Poel.
He'll be happy to see that after going home. He's going to be going home tonight with another victory in his pocket. A good weekend for him, taking 2 wins, although hard fought, a long travel in between. I have to presume that he'll be on a rest week, although it's Van der Poel. Maybe he goes and trains tomorrow, but I think that he's probably on a rest week this week.
Steve Ronka just commented, will everyone be using spikes on the fronts of the shoes? I imagine so, but you have to choose you need to change your spikes according to conditions, don't you?
Yeah, I would say some long ones for today. Probably some saber tooths or something like that. I don't even know if that's a thing. That probably is a brand. But anyway, yeah, just something very long that can really bite into the earth as it moves. You just don't want to have a situation where you don't have traction when you're running off camber. You lose your footing and then poof, you're on the ground. It's definitely made only more difficult by trying to carry a 15-20 pound bike on your on the side of you or up on your shoulder. So definitely having good traction, making sure that you've got shoes that can take those spikes. And the other thing you got to really pay attention to is keeping those holes that the spikes go into clean, especially if you're going to take them in and out. But as I look down at Thijs Aerts' shoes, I can see that he's got some spikes in there from our feed. So yes, I would presume all of the riders are using spikes in today's race.
Yeah, someone commented on Twitter, Cy Hall, commented that their first cross shoes had studs on the heels as well. They would be useful today. Thanks for your input over on Twitter as well. Big shout out to the Wessex Cyclocross Massive as well. The Cotswold Dryden Swindon event coming up as well. Thanks for all your input. Look at this, Marcel Meissen, the German champion, just trying to drag this group back up together. Dieter Swake, Tom Meusen, Jens Adams going through the group. But back to our leader, Mathieu Van der Poel on that run up again. And another top draw performance here from Mathieu Van der Poel today. And a lot of chat going on about the cyclocross becoming a Winter Olympics. But we would love it. Maybe they should just put it in as a demonstration. Just give it a chance. I'm sure they would love it.
Man, we would love that, yeah. Van der Poel making it look easy as the rain comes down. We've seen the rain coming on and off here in Niel today at the cross, but now it is raining again, and you can see it is a battle against himself as you see the rain going all over the place. He's decided to keep the yellow, orange tinted glasses on so that he's got some good visibility coming through as he goes through the DIY section of this course. He's able to hit this sand pit, boom, around the corner into the sand, pushing the bike out in front of him. He's able to keep his head up. And now you can just see he's able to pick that line very quickly as he moves his body all over the machine. He's able to come through that with ease. He's making it look so easy, Marty, and it's just not.
It's not. He can grab himself a lawnmower and a power drill on the way through as well. He's got plenty of time over the second place rider at the moment, to the Corendon Circus rider, the world champion. Leading this race from Laurent Swake with from Paushausen Bingo, and behind them it's T-Sarts, the former junior world champion T-Sarts. And for us again today, so what I love about these races, seeing those emerging results, those podiums for like the riders. He's 22, T-Sarts in third place, just starting to get those podiums. Then we saw it with Quinten Hermans, podium victory.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's the thing about cyclocross and cycling in general, you have to have patience. You cannot expect that you're going to make this 10, 20, 30% jump in 1 year and go from being, 15th, 20th place all the way up to winning every single race. Those are expectations that are not realistic. You have to slowly lift yourself up the ladder, climb. It's always very hard and very steep to be able to get to the top rung. And every single rider that's there wasn't by accident. They had a lot of hard work. They've had a lot of help from family, friends, sponsors, all of that to be able to come into it. So now, Thijs Aerts, you're seeing again in third place coming through that sand pit. We haven't seen Laurent Swake yet. Here he is coming down this with we see that both legs just sliding down. You can see this is a class in agility, in ballet, with the cyclocross bike.
I think downhill cyclocross on the bobsleigh run would be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see even the difference between, what we're seeing here, which is 4th, 5th, and 6th going through the sand. It looks a little different than Van der Poel. It's just his body, the way he's set up on there, all the genetics, everything combined just allow him to ride that cross bike really without thinking. I mean, it's just like he's an autopilot. He's just going. Everything looks and feels easy. It's just not. But the other riders, you can see each in 4th, 5th, and 6th. But imagine if you were looking at 16th, 17th, 18th. It's harder. These are the best riders in the world getting thrown at a course that's very challenging. You can see the way that Thijs Aerts puts the bike down there, just how hard this course is. At the end of these races, Marty, they can't wait to get the bike off their shoulder because they're so heavy. Their backs and their legs are screaming at them. They're in pain.
And then Mathieu Van der Poel just trying to find the grass, trying to find the grip. Look at the effort on the face here of Laurent Swake. You can see how tough it is. The rain really coming down here in Niel. The final lap of this Rectavit cross today. T-Sarts, as we said, breakthrough performance from the Telenet Baloise Lions rider today. This is a good performance from him. The world champion, though, at the head of the race.
Yeah, these guys are going to be looking forward to a hot shower at the end of this one. A lot of the biggest riders and teams, many of the riders here will have their own campers that they camper vans that they set up. We call them a mobile home. They call them campers over there. So yeah, they'll have their own mobile home / camper. They'll be getting into that, pulling all their clothes off, getting right in there, getting cleaned up right after the podium, so that they can have a nice hot shower before they go home. That's nice. That's a nice thing to have.
Get power washed down, get the kit power washed. This is a good battle. Look at this behind Sweek Meeuwisen. Look at the face of Meeuwisen through that section. But here comes Mathieu van der Poel into the home straight now. Mathieu van der Poel from Corridor Circus cleans off the jersey as best he can to show the sponsors. Winner of the European Championships yesterday, winner of the Rectavit Cross here in Niel today. A phenomenal performance by the world's champion. That's why he wears that rainbow jersey. Here is your second place rider though, Laurens Sweek. And again, another good day out for the Pal Sales and Big Goal man.
Absolutely. He's going to be happy with this. Again, able to show himself at the front of the race as he decides to take that line on the other side. He's got getting off on the, we call it the goofy side of the bike, on the derailleur side. That's his style. Deciding not to jump them this time as he takes a little bit gingerly on this last lap. Decided, you know what? I've got second place locked up. The gap doesn't matter. I've been training. I've been going all over the world. I've been down in Italy. I'm back here racing a wet, nasty cross race. You know what? I'm not going to take any risks. I'm going to just chill. So Thijs Aerts also deciding, you know what? I'm going to run them as well. Just probably not good underground there. So going to be happy. Sweek's going to be happy with this second place. Again, same result, a little bit different circumstances from what he did at Ruddervoorde.
He is indeed. He lines it up now into the home straight. T-Sarts. He's riding strongly here for that third place. There's Laurens Sweek. If it's your ambition in life is to have your face that big on a flag, here he comes. Laurens Sweek, a popular man in his home country. Second place, just over the minute down there. You can see 1 minute 20 seconds behind for Laurens Sweek. T-Sarts will be third on the podium, and then that battle for fourth. We've got a battle for fourth place. There's T-Sarts.
Very happy with that. Very, very happy with that. As we see the big group sprinting for the finish, it looks like maybe it's Meeuwisen. Meeuwisen looks like he's opening it up. No challenge. And then you see Dieter Sweek coming in second, and it looked like Marcel Meissen finishing out that group with maybe Jens Adams in the middle there.
Yeah, so Jens Adams getting in there as well. Is this David van der Poel coming in?
Exactly, seeing David van der Poel come in. He'll be happy with that. That's a good effort. Only 2 minutes down on his brother after the back injury that he was coming back from. This was his first race back. Had to take off a couple weeks to make sure that he mitigated all the stuff that was going on with that. And yeah, he'll be happy with that. That's a good step in the right direction as we see Wietse Boesmans coming in here. Also a good strong ride from him. It's good to see him back at the front as he comes in here in the black and neon green kit.
It's going to be ninth for Bosmans.
Yep, that's a good ride. That's a good ride, really good ride. So he'll be happy with that. And what do we got coming in behind?
We've got a bit of a sprint. Got a bit of a sprint going on here. There's just coming in there. I think it's Yannick Peters that might have got the 10th place there. I will stand corrected on that one if I'm wrong, but Yannick Peters I think has got that one. Jim Arnouts, he's going to come in next. And then behind him, Lander Locks is the next rider from Group Pens Mass Containers. So again, good to see the brothers out there today. Dieter Sweek, the twins. They're twins, aren't they, Dieter and Laurens? I think they are twins.
They are. They're definitely brothers. They're definitely brothers. We've got a nice shot of one of the barges that come, so often in Belgium. We see a lot of these as you ride down the canals. This is a very common sight when you're out there. So as we see here, De Bie coming in. He'll be happy. It was a good ride. He was out there.
Gefeliciteerd. Het crossgevoel, heb je dat vandaag opnieuw ervaren?
Ja, eigenlijk ging het vandaag wel goed, ja.
Beter dan gisteren, dus een beter gevoel. Want Pa zei mij ook achteraf, gisteren was je niet helemaal tevreden, hè?
Nee, dat klopt wel. Het was vandaag natuurlijk ook wel een heel andere omloop dan gisteren. Maar ik ben eigenlijk wel tevreden met vandaag. Ik had een goede dag en het was leuk rondrijden zo.
Heb je dit dan nodig vandaag om erin te komen, ook richting Tabor, nog een week of 2, 3 en dan is dat gevoel helemaal terug? Heb je dat dan echt nodig vandaag of was het eerder een training?
Nee, het was sowieso wel... het is met crossen dat ik nu beter word. En, ja, ik denk dat ik op de goede weg ben, ja.
Want het heeft een kwartier geduurd, hè, dat je bij de rest bleef. Zeg je dan op dat ogenblik, of is dat instinctief dat je zegt, nu ga ik, het is het moment. Of redeneer je, nee, nu kan ik nog 3 kwartier vol doorcrossen en mezelf niet al te makkelijk maken?
Ja, ik kreeg gewoon 1 keer ook goed tot de zandbak en ik had gelijk een mooi gatje. En daarna ben ik echt mijn tempo blijven rijden. En ja, dat ging ook redelijk goed vandaag. En ik zei het over het algemeen ben ik wel tevreden met het gevoel. Dus ik moet misschien vaker eens vroeg mijn wekker zetten.
Nog een laatste vraagje. Hoe voelt het eigenlijk, wetende nog niet 100% te zijn en toch, ja...
Hoe voelt het? Ik cross gewoon enorm graag, zoals vandaag ook. Was hier ook een heel leuk publiek om langs te rijden. En dat is iets wat dan met weinig te vergelijken is. En, dat is denk ik ook de reden dat al die crossers de sport zo mooi vinden.
Dat is waar, gefeliciteerd, dankjewel.
Dankjewel.
I was hoping they were going to give us an English question there. Sometimes they do.
Sometimes
with
they
someone
do,
like
but
Matt here.
But yeah, as we see Van der Poel here putting his arms up, it was a good race from him. Overall, I think he's saying, yeah, it was so-so. Looking forward to Tabor, some races that are coming up on the World Cup calendar. Happy to have this weekend underneath his belt and be moving forward. I think definitely the third race, although taking wins both days, didn't look like it was the exact way that he'd hoped, especially yesterday at the European Championships. Today, winning with a little bit more ease, able to recover quicker than some of the other guys.
I think as well, it's kind of sometimes when riders like Van der Poel do that, they're out there, the course and everything just clicks for them, and sometimes people can watch it and think, hey, you know, he just looks like he's cruising, but there's a difference between, we were saying in commentary there, you can't just cruise at that level. Even Mathieu Van der Poel, you see how hard he is working when he crosses the line.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing it. You know, I think he's in control. You know, he's got the best sponsors. He's got the best team. Unfortunately, he is the best rider at the moment. There's no one that's going to deny that. It's a situation that is unique. You know, when a rider's in that position in their life, it's important to be able to kind of capitalize on that. Know that you're in the moment and just roll with it. You can't overthink every single thing. You just got to have fun with it. You got to go out there. You know, the thing is it's okay if he doesn't win every race. Although it probably doesn't feel like it if you're in his position. It's okay.
Yeah. And he's got, like we said, yesterday, it's kind of damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. So,
yeah, but he is.
Yeah.
At the moment, he's tearing it up and he's winning everything. So it's one of those situations where you're like, it's a beautiful thing to watch. It's, you know, I think for the fans, especially yesterday's race, when someone's able to bring it and really push him to his maximum, that is beautiful racing. It's almost worth the wait.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
almost like it's just you gamble on it. Like someone's going to bring it to him, and you just hope every single weekend. And that's what makes cross beautiful, man. Yesterday's race with Eli Easterby and the Belgian squad, Michael Van Toorn, had all those guys throwing everything they could at Van der Poel to try to take that European champ title. Sick.
That was good. Right, let's have a look back at the race. Let's have a look at our highlights from today's race. They were ready.
They were ready, and it was Tom Mayusen and you see Van der Poel there all in the white, but it was Mayusen with a small crash there, although no one very badly hurt. It was just a quick getting back up, no problems at all, as we saw a couple of riders there going down, but no major issues. It was at the front of the race, Thijs Aerts took over. He went for it, and it was able to hang on, ended up finishing up third place. Mathieu Van der Poel decided to take a little bit slower start, sitting in the group, getting his bearings correct, getting the cobwebs out of the legs. We see Mayusen back at the front, boom, boom, over the barriers. Some riders deciding to run at the first lap. Very soft underground there going over the barriers.
And then through that section, Mayusen led out. We saw the pit was really slow today because Mayusen went in. He took a bike change and he kind of came out. You said it in commentary, dropped like 7 places. Jens Adams here was the next rider to go. Then Van der Poel made his move, and yeah.
And that was it. Van der Poel came in here, went to the front, and then decided through this sand section, opened up about 5 bike lengths. That was the last that the group saw of Van der Poel. As you see, everyone else technique not on the same level of Van der Poel, and the power that he was able to put out, doing the double leg slide as he decided decided to try to take an advantage here over the other riders. It was Lauren Sweek that decided to take up the chase, put in a valiant effort, but wasn't unable to close the gap. As we see here, Sweek jumping the barriers, and then we see Tice Aerts right behind him trying to, as Sweek, though, was able to open up a gap and distance Tice Aerts. It was Vanderpoel that was in full control of today's event.
Lawrence Wake, winner of the round 1 of the Rectavit series, the GP belt. It would be second place for him today behind Matthew van der Poel. 2 wins in 2 days. And let's have a look at Lawrence Sweek coming in second place. There you can see the flags out. He's a popular man, big fan club for Lawrence Sweek. T-Sarts comes in there for Tellinet Bauer's Lions. And the sprint behind for Tom Meyerson. He takes that one for Corendon Circus. So a good day for the Corendon Circus team. I think Meyerson would be happy with the return of the big man to take the pressure off him a little bit.
Absolutely. Definitely happy for that. And, you know, Meyerson's in a position where he's able to capitalize off of that as well. You know, he's got a opportunity to kind of use Van der Poel and be a teammate to him in a good way, where he's, you know, not the only guy out there. Van der Poel, Meyerson going back and forth helping out. But here we go. Top 10.
Matthew van der Poel takes it from Lawrence Sweek. T-Sarts, Tom Meyerson, Dieter Sweek, Jens Adams, Marcel Meissen, David van der Poel, Wietse Bosmans, and it was Yannick Peters that took a 10th place there. 2 minutes and 35 seconds down. A good day's racing.
Man, fantastic day's racing. Oh, honestly, the weekend. It was great. It was a great, you know, European champs. Really awesome. One of the best races that we've seen in a while. I would say similar to Koppenberg last year, where we saw Van der Poel make the front, but then just not able to pull it together. This race yesterday, for me, one of the most energetic races. If you guys haven't seen that, definitely go back, check that out. It is on GCN Racing. And what do we got coming up, Marty?
We have, right. So it's been great having you with us as well. Hopefully Jeremy's going to be back over the pond very, very soon. This weekend we have the Telenet UCI World Cup from Tabor to some very restricted areas. Apologise for that. We're doing our best to try and expand the World Cup in the future. We have the DVV Trophy from Hammer on Sunday as well. Don't forget, subscribe to GCN Racing. Give us a thumbs up for this one today. Thanks for all your company. Thanks for Jeremy's insight. We will see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye for now.